Recording in progress.
I hereby call this meeting of the Greenbelt City Council to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Good evening. Ms. McKinney?
Here.
Ms. Pompey?
Here.
Ms. Pope?
Here.
Ms. Niesel?
Here.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
Ms. Weaver?
Here.
Mayor Jordan?
I'm here. Please join us in a moment of silent reflection as we remember and think about several Greenbelt residents and others that have passed away since the last meeting. Residents Willard Kenneth Davis, Peggy A. Rooney, Betty Jo Edwards, Bob Casals, Belinda K. Birdsong, Richard Arthur Chapman, and of course, President Jimmy Carter. Let's pause for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. Of course, tomorrow is also the anniversary of the passing of Officer Peters, Corporal Peters. Ms. Pompey, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a packed house. We've got a packed agenda tonight. But the first item on the agenda is petitions and requests. We do hold these council meetings generally 2 times a month, except for August and December. Also work sessions several times a month. Our meetings are always open to the public, except for executive sessions as authorized by law, so that residents and others can observe council's deliberations. We do strive to provide reasonable opportunities for the public to voice opinions on matters being considered, and we'll pause periodically during the meeting for public comment. During these times, if you wish to address council, if you're in the room, raise your hand. After being recognized, go to the microphone. You need to state your name and where you live. We need that for the minutes. If you are listening on Zoom, you can use the Q&A tab to submit a written question, or you can raise your virtual hand. And once again, after being recognized, you need to provide your name and where you live for the minutes. And if you're watching on cable TV or Facebook or, my God, YouTube or whatever else, you can just send us an email, cable TV, to questions@greenbeltmd.gov. That's the email address. Limit your remarks to 5 minutes and speak on one topic related to the question under consideration. And we do ask that you avoid questioning the motives of others. And in general, let's all be civil in our remarks. So the first item on the agenda is indeed petitions and requests. This is an opportunity for members of the public to ask a question or make a statement. And I know we've got a couple here. Let's see. Ms. Rosenthal, please.
Good evening. Is this on? Yeah, good evening. I'm Laura Rosenthal. I live at 2 Court Garden Way. I haven't been to the meetings much in a while, and it's just great to be back. And I know this isn't a time for question and answer, so I'll just bring up my concern is that I know I live in GHI, and almost every week we get an email saying that there's been a water main break on XYZ Court, and the water will be out, and then next week it's another one, and next week it's another one, and then the WSSC is like, watch out, all the water mains are going to break. So I guess the question, and again, I'm not looking for an answer, is like, what is the overall infrastructure plan for Greenbelt in terms of replacing water infrastructure? Well, maybe it's WSSC, replacing water infrastructure before it breaks, because I know in our whole country, the water infrastructure is failing. I don't know when it was first, designed or whatever, but it just seems like this Band-Aid approach of, one water main break at a time, and with the number that are happening. And then I know WSSC said like in the past week, like 113 water main breaks. I mean, they weren't all in Greenbelt, thank goodness, but it doesn't seem like a viable plan. So I would love the city council to address that and at some future time and kind of help us understand. I know it's very expensive to replace every pipe in Greenbelt at one time. And I know I'm only supposed to speak on one issue, but I just would like to say, having not been here for a while, I'm finding the agenda very well written. I'm understanding like all of it. It's giving a lot of background information. It's telling when something was originally introduced, even if it was like 2005, and everything's summarized really clearly. And I'm finding it's going to be very easy to follow the agenda, because someone that doesn't come as often, I can still like catch up and jump in. So thank you. I'm really happy to be here tonight. And it's so wonderful to see such a wonderful turnout. And I hope we can get a lot of things done tonight.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Yeah,
I-
Ms.
I-
Rosenthal, you did bring up a timely topic, this WSSC and the voluntary water rationing notice that we're under right now. Mr. Summerall, can you briefly?
I had planned to address that during the administrative reports. I could jump in now. So over the weekend, the WSSC issued an essential water alert asking residents to limit their water consumption. It was due to the numerous water main breaks that were not just in our county, but in Montgomery County, and the whole area was suffering from water leaks and water main breaks, to the point that the WSSC was concerned about the sustainability of the system and mitigating risks that would happen if we lost water pressure or worse, lost water capacity. So the essential water alert was important to limit the use so that we can prevent further issues from happening to the system, such as if you get loss of water pressure and the need for boil advisory, water boil advisory. So it was a preventative measure. The system has recovered, and as of about an hour or so ago, the essential water alert was lifted. So we had a call 5:30 this afternoon where we received the status report and an update on where the system stands. But directly to your point, it's an infrastructure challenge. We were on the receiving end of a double whammy that we have infrastructure challenges with aged infrastructure, and then the weather not being on our side with the freezing and thawing, the cold snap that we had. So those two things have contributed to where we were over the weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Just to be clear, I was actually addressing water main problems that have been going on for months during warm weather. I don't know how many people here live in GHI, but we're continuously 59 court, 64, every court, it's happening. I mean, GHI is the oldest part of Greenbelt, so I understand that the pipes are the oldest, but this is well before the cold weather.
Also true, the GHI has aged infrastructure, and there's the water line issues has been an ongoing challenge. I think council has had numerous work sessions with GHI and the water district about replacing the infrastructure. And it's been something that's been in the works for some time. I think now we're starting to see what happens when something's in the works for a long time. Things break and they require an emergency repaired. So that's certainly an infrastructure issue. In terms of a plan in place, I think GHI has done some modernization projects and they're actively working on some things. I've had conversations with our partners at WSSC, and they've been very responsive to water main breaks that exist in areas that are their responsibility. So I'll continue to monitor that. I know with several council members, the residents of GHI reach out to council members, reach out to me and myself. When we have leaks, we follow up on what's our responsibility. So not entirely a complete answer, but it's a status update.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Other petitions and requests. Mr. Hurling.
Hi, I'm Conrad Hurling, a resident of 11B Ridge Road. I'm here tonight on behalf
Mr.
of
Hurling,
Eleanor
Mr. Hurling,
and Franklin. Is it
does-
not coming through?
It's, is it coming through?
Speak closer to the mic. It's on. It's on.
Okay. Okay, well, you already know who I am. And I'm here tonight on behalf of the Eleanor and Franklin Roosevelt Democratic Club, as our current president is not feeling well. And he has asked me as a former club president to make a meaningful contribution to the city's emergency assistance fund. Many communities in the country contribute towards individuals having a tough time just trying to make it for another pay period. We see this need to provide assistance most clearly and painfully in the Los Angeles area, as the residents there have lost their houses, their schools, and places of business due to the unending fires over the last 7 days. While here in Greenbelt, the needs of our fellow citizens, our fellow friends, are less pronounced. Nonetheless, the need to help our fellow Greenbelters still needs to be addressed. Here in Greenbelt, for many years, individuals in our clubs, such as the Eleanor and Franklin Roosevelt Democratic Club, have contributed to the city's Emergency Assistance Fund, so fellow Greenbelters in need can continue to live here and enjoy the benefits of living in a community that cares for each other. The members of the Eleanor and Franklin Roosevelt Democratic Club have been glad to help in this good cause for over 25 years. As we know from our history, we were built in 1937 during the Depression to help those in need of housing, as one could not be eligible to live here if you made more than $3,300 a year. So you can see that our history is one based on helping others and helping each other. After all, this is a key part of what makes Greenbelt, even in tough times, a great place to live. I'm here tonight to give a check from our club for $300 so the city can continue to truly help those in need.
That's great. Thank you. You can present the check to Mr.
Thank you.
Can we get a picture of that, or you want a picture? We're gonna rush that check down to the bank to make sure it doesn't bounce. Thank you, Mr. Hurling. That's from the Democratic Club. Okay. Okay, we've got a couple of other. Yes, please, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. My name is Clara Bro. I'm a resident of 6S Hillside. So I grew up in GHI. I was thrilled when I got stationed in DC. My husband and I, we bought a GHI. We've been here for several years now. And the reason that I came tonight is one of the reasons that I love Greenbelt so much is the walkability. I mean, you've probably seen me and my husband out pushing a stroller out with our dog. We're out like all the time. But one thing that I have noticed is a pretty alarming trend over the past few months is just general disregard for pedestrian safety, specifically at the crosswalks. I've had multiple incidents. I'm a runner, and I've had cars. I mean, one guy, I'm pretty sure he was trying to like run me down. I was in the crosswalk. He saw me. They keep on going. I've had it when I have my stroller, even when we had the stop sign cameras up. So I did want to come and kind of just voice like at least my support as a mom, as a resident of this community. It's something that's like very near and dear to my heart, especially as my son gets a bit older. I saw the traffic calming study. I saw the results that came from it, and I think it's really great. And I just want to implore like the council to continue pushing, like presenting that united front for the city for the safety of our pedestrians, not only in Old Greenbelt, but also in the other sections of Greenbelt, because I mean, this community, it was built on the principle that a kid could leave their house and they could walk to the pool, they could walk to the community center. I mean, you know, you can take the underpasses, but still there are road crossings. And you know, it's just gotten really, really dangerous and kind of scary, you know, as people just fly through and don't stop and don't respect the stop signs and don't respect the pedestrians. So that's kind of why I came tonight. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The petitions and requests, Mr. Orleans.
New Orleans, Greenbelt. I just wanted to welcome you all back to work. It's been so long. It's been so long, in fact, that I've forgotten some of what I've been asking for in the last several months and or years. I don't know if all of my questions and or requests have been met. I will look for an answer from responsible parties at a later time. But I regret that council, with all the work sessions that have not been held over the last several years, including meeting with the county on the transportation plan. That's 2 master plans of transportation ago and 3 transit vision plans. I don't understand why we're not meeting on Wednesday night. But anyway, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Are there any other petitions and requests? Mr. Hartman, please.
Michael Hartman, 2 Court Garden Way. On Monday morning, there is going to be oral arguments at the Supreme Court on a case that is being brought by a woman who had to retire early. She's a firefighter in Stanford, Florida. Her name is Karen Stanley. She was hired in 1999 to be a firefighter, and in 2018 she had to retire because she had Parkinson's disease. When she was hired, she was promised $1,000 a month subsidy for health insurance until she was old enough for Medicare. Unfortunately, or possibly illegally, the city changed its policy and only allows the subsidy to last for 2 years after someone retires on disability. I am here today to ask the city what policies you have on disability retirement. Are your employees who serve us as residents, are they being protected? In fact, it's interesting that tonight is the FOP here, because it could be a union issue too, about protecting employees and in retirement. This was a firefighter, and she developed Parkinson's disease. So the question is, and I don't expect an answer tonight, and in fact, I've been communicating with our city manager about that, but I think that it would be good for people to know and employees to know to make sure that they are covered if they become disabled on the job, or either from the job or just become disabled, that they will be covered with health insurance, because when you're retired on disability, that's when you really need it the most. So I just want to make sure that the city employees are covered adequately and fairly and enough so that they're protected. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Somerone and Mr. Martinez will follow up with you. We care about our employees passionately, so they are protected. It'd be interesting to see how the Supreme Court rules on that. I don't know if it has to do with the county or municipality, but certainly in the environment that we're living in today, it'd be interesting to see exactly how the Supreme Court does rule on that. Any other petitions or requests? Well, hearing none, let's go ahead and move on. And the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any modifications to the consent agenda? And if there are none, could I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. And next is the agenda itself. We have a very heavy agenda, and I'm going to ask council's indulgence, instead of special ordering and moving things around, which I am planning on doing. Let's just leave it as it is for now. I'd like to kind of move through some of the presentations very quickly, and then we can get to the FOP agreement as soon as possible. But there's there are other people here that just need to quickly do this. So are there any other modifications to the agenda? Or I'm just one of 7 council members. If other council members have other ideas about how we should run the meeting, please speak up now.
No, I think if we can get through the proclamations and things quickly, that sounds good.
I think we should move 14 up ahead of the proclamations and everything. 'Cause that's the most.
That is
the
what we're
most-
gonna do.
The most people are here for
Yeah,
that
obviously.
issue, so we should do that first.
Where did you want to move it, Mr. Roberts?
That,
Where did you want to move it?
number one.
I think that's going to take a little while to get through, at least 4 or 5 minutes. So I would rather.
Unless you
Is there a
wanna-
second? Is there a second?
Unless you want to just put it, after petitions and requests, we can do it right now.
I'd like,
Planning on doing that? Isn't that something
yeah, I'd
you
like to
wanted
do it after the presentations.
Okay.
There's a couple of presentations I'd like to kind of get
Let's
through.
do it that way then. That sounds good.
Okay. Well, there's a motion, but there's no second. So could I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second that. And as in terms of discussion, we're going to move number 14 up after presentations. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, got one vote opposition. But that does pass. So at this time, let's quickly move to presentations. And first is the award of the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Award for FY 2025. The city has received the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for its fiscal year 2025 budget. This award is the highest form of recognition in government budgeting. It recognizes that Greenbelt publishes a budget document that satisfies national guidelines as a policy document, a financial plan, and operations guide, as well as a communication device. Bertha Gaiman, our city treasurer, is here to accept the award. Ms. Gaiman, are you here? Welcome, Ms. Gaiman. And you know what? I don't have that. I don't have that in front of me. Who's got the plaque? The plaque.
We have a digital file.
Got a digital plaque. Somebody put that up on the screen. There it is. Oh man.
If there's a QR code, you just scan it.
Ms. Gaiman, I know that this budget is very much a team effort, but somebody has to lead the team, and somebody has to kind of pull all the pieces together, sort of like the conductor orchestrating, a bunch of musicians and pulling everything together. And Ms. Gaiman, you are the one working with the city manager and so many other department heads and just everybody in the whole city. So congratulations on this honor.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Is this on? I am really happy that the city has continued to receive this budget award from GFOA. During my tenure here, this is, I think, the 35th year that we've received it, and the city budget gets better and better every year, in my opinion. So I'd like to certainly applaud my colleagues for all of their hard work, the directors, the finance team, my team, as well as Chandria and James, if they were, I was hoping that they would join us, along with city manager and assistant city manager. So it is a huge effort to put together this 300-page document and to present it to council as we do. So we are very, very proud of it. We're happy that GFOA has recognized us once again, and we're looking forward to doing it again for the 2026 budget. So thank you.
No. Thank you, Ms. Gaiman. Thank you for all of your good work on this budget, on previous budgets, and your leadership, your vision. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, and next I have a Martin Luther King Day proclamation to present. Kevin Carpenter Driscoll, will you come up while I read this? Welcome, Kevin. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to promoting equity, justice, and opportunity for all people and urged Americans to work together to build a better nation, and whereas Dr. King's teachings continue to inspire us as we face challenges in our communities, and whereas in 1994, the King Holiday and Service Act made the King Holiday a National Day of Volunteer Service led by the Corporation for National Community Service, And whereas the King Day of Service is the only federal holiday that encourages national service, giving Americans a chance to give back to their communities on the holiday and throughout the year. And whereas many groups, including nonprofit schools, government agencies, and businesses, are organizing King Day service projects across the country. And whereas residents of the city of Greenbelt can join events in our city and surrounding communities as on the King Day of Service, January 20, 2025, or create their own community service projects based on local needs. Now, therefore, I, Emmett V. Jordan, hereby proclaim Martin Luther King Jr. holiday as a day of service in the city of Greenbelt and call upon the people of Greenbelt to honor the life and works of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. through participation in community service projects on Martin Luther King Day and throughout the year. Kevin, I'd like to present this to you. Thank you. So, Kevin, we've got a project plan for the 20th, and once again.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Council and Mayor. We are really excited to honor the legacy of Dr. King and his pursuit of service and what that means to our community. So this year, again, we'll be working on our Living with Beaver program, and that is just the effort to continue to endure with our pesky neighbors, the beaver, as they share their home with us and we share their home with them. So we'll be working at Budiac Park on, as you said, Monday the 20th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Email me at kdriscoll@greenbeltmd.gov if you're interested in coming out. I hope you are. I've already got about 17 volunteers signed up. One of the Boy Scouts troops. Very excited to have this opportunity to work with everybody that day.
Fantastic. Thank you for organizing this. As I said in the proclamation, there are activities all throughout the city and throughout the area. I understand that the Greenbelt Elementary School is actually sponsoring a service project from 1:30 to 3:30, where they'll be doing a cleanup there in the area of Greenbelt Elementary School. I've heard that there are some wonderful programs in neighboring jurisdictions in the city of Laurel and College Park and throughout the entire region of Washington, D.C. So I certainly plan on being there in the morning. What time are we going to gather there?
At 10 a.m.
In 10 a.m. And what part of the park will we be
We'll
meeting?
be up at the main parking lot, and we'll move across the spillways where we'll be doing work.
Very good, very good. Okay. Ms. Rosenthal, you have a question or comment?
Laura Rosenthal, still 2 Court Garden Way. Hi, I'm Mr. Carpenter Driscoll. Since some of us are new, can you just clarify, are there still 2 beaver colonies living in Budiac Park? And maybe just explaining why that's like an extra challenge that most areas don't have 2 beaver families cohabitating.
Yeah, we have had up to 2 beaver colonies using Budiac Park and the lake there as their home. That can be especially challenging because beavers do what beavers do. They are nature's engineers. They have the greatest impact on the environment, second only to humans in the natural world. So they're very industrious. They get into other people's yards. Some people hate them. Some people love them. They're, I think, a very iconic creature. So we do our best to do what we can to coexist with them, and that's what we've been doing on our service day, caging trees that we want to protect, while leaving some for them to eat as part of their nature. So yeah, it is very challenging. They younger ones will get kicked out and they will move on. They'll follow along Indian Creek and go out into the wetlands that way, but it is a difficult journey, so there may be incentive. There's plenty of stuff around. Plenty of neighbors have myrtle trees to chew on.
Directional signage might be
I'm telling you. Hey, so that is on the 20th. That's next Monday. What time did you say that was, Kevin?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. So I know I'll be there, and I'll be doing a number of things. You know, the 20th, there's a lot of things going on in the area, but I'm going to be focusing on community service and sort of contemplating the life of Dr. King and just trying to make Greenbelt, to make the area, just focusing on community service. So, yeah, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, there's another activity too. I understand our delegates and senator are actually organizing a District 22 night in Annapolis, and they do this every year. They've done this every year before COVID. There's going to be a special speaker for Martin Luther King Day, and if you send an email to Delegate Nicole Williams, there's a bus that will be going from behind the Greenbelt Library out to Annapolis in the evening. And I believe that bus leaves at 5 p.m. So moving along, next I have a proclamation declaring January as National Blood Donor Month. And we're honored to be joined by Keith Andrew Perry, who is the Executive Director of the American Red Cross, Southern Maryland, in the National Capital, Greater Chesapeake region. Mr. Perry, will you come forward, please? Welcome. It's so nice to see you.
Great to see you, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Whereas on December 31st, 1969, President Richard Nixon signed a proclamation designating January as National Blood Donor Month, recognizing the vital role of blood donors in saving lives. And whereas the winter months present unique challenges for blood collections due to holiday celebrations, inclement weather, and the prevalence of cold and flu season, resulting in reduced donations and an increased risk of blood shortages. And whereas blood donations represent one of the most selfless acts of compassion and generosity, as a single donation has the potential to save up to 3 lives. And whereas the theme for 2025, celebrating the importance of blood donation, serves as a reminder of the life-changing impact of this critical act of giving, now therefore I, Emmett V. Jordan, hereby proclaim January as National Blood Donor Month in the city of Greenbelt, and we encourage all residents to participate by donating blood, supporting local blood drives, and raising awareness of the ongoing need for this essential resource during the winter months and beyond. Mr. Perry, I'd like to present this to you. If you'd like to go over to the podium.
And we're having some comments online that people are having a little bit of a hard time hearing people at the podium, so if you can make sure you speak right into the mic.
Mr. Perry, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
How's this?
Hopefully that's better. Yeah, it's on, but I think you just need to speak right into it, it seems like, so that people online can hear.
So the city of Greenbelt, we do sponsor regular blood drives in our community center. In the past, we've also worked with the Red Cross to do CPR training, first aid training, and actually to install smoke detectors. So it's a real pleasure having you here tonight. I don't think we really have an office of the American Red Cross in Prince George's County. It's sort of like a regional thing.
That's absolutely correct. Unfortunately, we're in the process of identifying a location. We previously had a location in Glen Burnie, and that was really not as convenient for our entire territory. The way we're organized is that the Southern Maryland chapter encompasses 5 different counties, including Anne Arundel, Charles, and Calvert, and St. Mary's. And so we're really trying to identify some place that is equidistant, so to speak, so as not to burden our volunteers. As you may be aware, the American Red Cross operates with 80% volunteers. So people like me are the aberration. People like you are the norm, right? So we're really looking volunteers to assist us in all of our lines of service, including disaster relief, our blood services, working with our members of the armed forces, our youth, and from time to time, even international service, dealing with some of these international conflicts. I will say, and as the mayor indicated, that this is January and it is Red Cross Blood Donation Month. And we've got a bit of a blood shortage right now, result of inclement weather that we've had over the last few weeks. A number of individuals who had appointments for blood donation were unable to make those. And so it's very important to take advantage of the opportunities that we have. I've got flyers at the back. The mayor is correct. We do have ongoing blood drives right next door at the Greenbelt Community Center. The next one is on February 7th, followed by one on March 7th, and then there'll be one at the Greenbelt American Legion on April 28th. And so I implore you all to please come out and support. One donation can save 5 lives. It's actually 5. And so we're really looking forward to having that low donor turnout reversed in the next couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much. And if you're looking for office space, you might want to consider the city of Greenbelt. We're very accessible to the metro and to the Beltway and to the Parkway. It's a great location. Also, a former executive director, Sylvia Lewis, actually lives here in Greenbelt. I know she's been retired for about 20 years or so, but she was the executive director of the Red Cross for a period of time. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, very much. I feel very much at home. My roots are in D.C. politics, actually, and I work for a number of city council members there. And as I like to joke, I'm what happens when you don't win elections yourself.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, and finally, we have a PEPCO presentation.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Welcome. So nice to have you here. Yes. Yes. Good evening.
Can you hear me?
It's coming through. I think it's just low, but it's coming through. It's on. It's on.
It's on. It's on?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me? All right, great. Thank you. I'll talk really loud. I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to present on PEPCO's behalf here at the City of Greenbelt. I want to thank all of the council members and also Mayor Jordan, and particularly Councilmember Josue for the invitation. A little bit about me. I work for PEPCO, have been there for the last 3 years. Before PEPCO, I worked for a company called ICF, where I implemented their energy efficiency programs for 14 years. I came on board at PEPCO for 3 years, working with their energy assistance program to assist low to moderate income customers to pay their utility bill. About 3 months ago, I started with the Governmental Affairs Department as a senior governmental affairs specialist, working with municipalities, specifically with the Prince George's County municipalities. And I have alongside of me my colleague, Alberto Zagato, who worked for our Montgomery County municipalities. I was asked to come here today to talk a little bit about the rate adjustment that just recently happened come January the 1st. The rate started in 2025 for customers. They might experience a small change or an adjustment in their bill. The impact on residential customers' bills will vary for Maryland and also for the District of Columbia as well. A PEPCO Maryland customer may experience a 5% increase in their overall bill, meaning that the average residential customer bill may increase from $166 per month to about $173 per month. On average, there's a 1% supply increase, and then there is a 4% of surcharge increases. With this increase, we know that it's going to impact both our customers and also our municipalities, also our industrials, everyone. Being that PEPCO is knowledgeable of that, we want to make sure that we share with you that we are not the cause of the increase. This increase is due to the Empower Maryland. They presented an increase, and that is what has come into the law. It's because of their decision to make these rate changes. What we're trying to do at PEPCO is be a communicator to try to make these increases known to everyone and also to provide a transparency about this adjustment. In light of these adjustments, PEPCO has put some things in place, some processes in place to help to offset some of those costs. One of the things that we've done, we have implemented a PEPCO's bill support landing page. This landing page allows our customers to get more information about this rate adjustment and things they can do to help to offset that cost. What are some of those things? Well, there's a budget billing plan that you can get on. That means that we'll take a look at all of your bills for the last 12 months, we'll average them out, and give that customer a monthly bill that they would pay every month, the same amount for 12 months. This allows that customer to also be able to plan accordingly and also have a continuous and the same amount to pay every month. That means it helps them to plan. Some of the other things that we've done, of course, you've heard of the Energy Efficiency Program. I used to work for that program. Everyone in this room pays a surcharge through the Empower Maryland. It's up to you whether you choose to participate in the Energy Efficiency Program. What the Energy Efficiency Program does is offer you the opportunity to install energy efficient measures in your home, which could include light bulbs. It could include turning down your thermostats to about 68. Also giving information in relations to turning down your water heater to a lesser temperature. All of these items can help to offset the rate adjustments. Another thing, we have lots of energy tips as well. As I mentioned, turning down your thermostat. As also mentioned, installing LED lights in your homes, unplugging any unused electrical devices in your home, turning off the lights in a room when you leave the room, and lastly, keeping your blinds closed during the day to keep out the sunlight. If you have any customers that have any questions, please have them call our customer service department, and I'm happy to take any questions back to my team.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sorry.
In summary, this adjustment was driven by the Empower Maryland. All Maryland customers will be impacted by this adjustment. The average adjustment is 5%. And PEPCO is also inserting information in the customer's bill about this adjustment as well. And lastly, as you know, PEPCO, we are here to help. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the questions that I cannot answer, I'll be happy to take them down and share them with my colleague. He may be able to answer them as well, but we'll make certain that we get the answers back. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Thank you. Councilmember McKinney, you would ask, we're seeing, some real shifts in some of our utility bills, and you would ask to actually put this on. So go ahead.
You had said that on average, there would be an increase of 5%. So does that mean that there are some customers that could actually see more than a 5% increase?
That's a really good question, and I thank you for that question. But as far as we know, based on the calculation that we've received and that we've done, on average, it is about 5%. It could potentially fluctuate as well, either up or either down. We don't know yet.
I thought I saw Amy's hand up first. Mr. Roberts, please go ahead.
Thank you. I live in a part of the community where we have electric heat only. That's all we have is electric heat. A lot of people have the mini splits, they're putting them in now. But most of us, we still have the baseboard electric heaters. So when you're talking about 5%, at $165, that's dreaming because, most of the people I know that have baseboards, it's $300 plus a month. And that's only if you're using a couple of baseboard heaters. If I turned on every baseboard heater in my house, my bill would probably be like $600 or $700 a month. And then you add 5% onto that, and it's getting up there. Even at $300, you add 5%. Okay, so that's another $50 or something a month. For a lot of people, including myself, that's a lot of money every month, And so it bothers me because, especially in the wintertime, you really, I need the heat probably more than I need the AC. I do have some tree shade, but yeah, so I think you should be more open and say this is a raise. This is an increase, not an adjustment. An adjustment means that maybe you paid too much or something and they're going to reimburse you. To me, that's what it means. So I think I would encourage you to say, when you go around to people like this, be honest and say, we're having an increase in your rate. And be honest about how much it is, because if people don't get the right information, they can't fight back. And a lot of people are going to suffer because of this. I hate to say it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Can I just have a follow-up question?
Yes, please, go ahead.
So if there is potentially more than a 5% increase, how often will you do the, excuse me, the analysis to know whether or not it will fluctuate up or fluctuate down? And then how far in advance will you let people know whether or not their bill will go up? Or will they just simply see it when they receive the bill?
That's a really good question, and thank you. As we all know, that when we utilize electricity, gas, or electric in our homes, sometimes we turn the thermostat up, right? When it's cold or cooler than you'd like, and sometimes we turn the thermostat down. When you turn it up, that means your utility usage is going to be a little bit more. And when you turn it down, it's going to be a little bit less. Your question is, how do we know? We don't know. It's probably based on the usage of the customer. If they turn it really high, it's going to be a little bit higher. Because now, if your utility bill is higher, that means you're using more electricity. And that means that 5% is going to be more than just 5%.
So the 5% is based on the regular usage right now. So like, what's the baseline of the 5%? Do you know what I mean?
I'll let Alberto respond to that.
Thank you. So thank you for the question. So the answer to that is that this 5% was actually done with a particular usage. So give me 1 second. Oh, so it was here. Its costs are based on 6-month average customer usage of 824 kilowatts per month. So based upon that, that's the average of what's the usage in our Pepco Maryland service territory. Based upon that usage is the 5% amount. Now, obviously, usage varies from, person to person. So that's why, we say it's an average. It can be a little bit more, it can be a little bit less. But what the driving factor of this increase is the Empower Maryland program that was approved by the Public Service Commission. So one of the things that we're trying to motivate all of our customers to do is to take advantage of the programs that Empower Maryland offers, because that's what everyone is paying into.
Okay, let's see, Mr. Orleans.
If I understand correctly, I can look forward to my next bill receiving information about this and an explanation for it. It would have been helpful, and I would have thought that Pepco would have provided Greenbelt in advance of tonight's meeting, knowing that you were going to be here, information about this, and we could be looking at it now. I wouldn't have to wait for my next bill. But specifically, I don't understand why Empower Maryland is causing Pepco to adjust its rates slightly at all. What's the connection with Empower Maryland, what it's urging residents of Maryland to do, and Pepco's decision to enact a slight change?
So thank you for your question. So the
Just one question, please.
There will be a bill insert that will be provided with your January bill, which most likely obviously hasn't been done yet because we're still in the middle of that billing month. We're here to give everyone in the spirit of transparency and understanding that this increase is happening. And why is it happening? It's an increase to the surcharge for Empower Maryland. Okay, it's not a rate increase by PEPCO. Okay, PEPCO cannot increase its rates. Only the Public Service Commission can increase rates. We can ask the Public Service Commission to increase a rate, but that's an entirely different process. That's not what's happening here.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, please go ahead.
Mayor, we're happy to schedule a work session if it would be of council's interest on this topic.
Well, I'm not sure that it would require an entire work session. We've not really sat down and talked with PEPCO for a while, although we did have a gathering with the Four Cities Coalition. PEPCO briefed us. We've been talking about purchasing the streetlights from PEPCO. So I think that would be a good idea. In the interest of time, I suppose we could take one more question.
Well, I just wanted to comment that I think what might be most helpful is I'm looking at the list on the Empower Maryland website of all the different programs that are available, and it might be something that if we can just make sure that like Ms. Andrews and shares those information about some of these things like the home energy reports, the peak energy savings credits, lighting programs, appliance rebate programs, all these things that are part of it. I think what may be most helpful for residents is if we make sure we share all that information about these ways to reduce your energy usage and just get those out to people on all of our platforms.
Absolutely.
Very good. Ms. Rosenthal, please.
Good evening. I'm Laura Rosenthal, resident, and I'm a retired climate activist. So I remember when Empower Maryland was passed, and I guess correct me if I'm wrong, I actually thought that each utility company was being asked to absorb the cost of Empower Maryland as part of the profits that you already make. Like, for example, I know at the very beginning you all started publishing wonderful little pamphlets about things that residents could do, like the 15 top things that you could do to, conserve energy. And I know we've had the people come to the door and they give you the light bulbs and the power strips and the shower, all the wonderful things that they do. But I guess my question is, and again, correct me, maybe I was just naive. I thought each utility company, because you make a profit, was just asked to take some of your profit towards, fulfilling this law and not passing it along to the residents in the form of an increase in surcharge. So I would appreciate, some clarification.
Thank you. We can come back with that information. I'm not aware if PEPCO, takes or gives back for Empower Maryland, but we can find out easily.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Pope?
I just have a quick question. So the Empower Maryland and the 5% increase or approximate 5% increase per household, the feeds into other programs, if I'm understanding this correctly, right? So it also would feed like in the energy assistance programs and other programs like that. Is that correct? Is that where this money is going to?
So I believe the energy assistance program is separate. That falls under LIHEAP or MEEP in the case of Maryland. But that's separate. That's energy assistance is one thing, and Empower Maryland is more towards energy efficiency.
Okay. So that does not feed in there. So okay, thank you for answering my question.
Okay, Councilmember Pompey.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that probably a public hearing or a town hall would be more appropriate than a work session, because residents need an opportunity to ask questions and get answers, and council work sessions are not a great place for that to happen. I think the better venue for that would be to invite these folks back for a public hearing or a town hall, so that it can just be a free, residents are just free to ask questions and get what they need. So.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will follow up. We would love to have you back to talk to residents directly and disseminate this information. We'll try and help out as best we can so people can understand what's happening with their utility bills.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight.
This time, I'd like to special order item number 14 to the next item on the agenda. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So that's going to bring us to item number 14, which is a resolution to approve a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Greenbelt and the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 32, effective July 1st, 2025. And this item is for first reading and suspension of the rules and for second reading and adoption. Let me just provide a little context. This is a resolution to approve the city's collective bargaining agreement with the FOP Lodge 32. The agreement is a result of negotiations conducted over the last several months. The rank and file of the FOP has already ratified this proposed agreement, and now it's being presented to council for approval. At the November 2005 city election, voters approved amending the city charter to allow for collective bargaining between the city and non-managerial sworn police personnel. In January 2007, the council adopted a labor code following discussions between city and FOP representatives. In February of 2007, FOP Lodge 32 was designated as the exclusive bargaining representative for police officers. When approved, if approved, the new agreement will take effect July 1st, 2025 and will remain in effect for 4 years. It provides pay increases over 4 years, including cost of living, wage scale, and merit adjustments. The proposed pay increase is based on the market surveys conducted and will ensure the department remains competitive with peer agencies. Staff believes the agreement is fair and reasonable. It protects the city's managerial rights while addressing the main issues of concern to the FOP. When the resolution is approved at the January 13 meeting, members of both bargaining units will be present and are present. So staff recommends that the resolution be introduced and adopted at this meeting. So first of all, I'd like to thank the representatives of FOP Lodge 32, the bargaining unit, the rank and file, as well as the city administration for these discussions and for hammering out this agreement. Actually, based on my experience on council, the process has gone pretty quickly and relatively smoothly. I mean, there's always a little push and pull between the FOP and the city. It's a negotiation. So, we're here tonight to actually get a quick overview and take an action based on the recommendations of management. So, Chief Bowers, I don't know if you want to cue this discussion up. I know FOP Lodge 32 President Potts was here earlier, but it's, I don't think he's, oh, there he is.
The leadership team is here.
Yeah, good evening. I don't know if you want to come up and sit at the table.
Yeah, come on over and make room. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that introduction.
Oh, man.
I thought that was my head. Sorry.
The excitement. It's the excitement. That's a lot of excitement.
So I thought we were so awake. Yeah, I thought we had this all worked out. I mean, yeah.
There you go. Woke you up. Wake everybody up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight we're here to present the council the new CBA resolution to you along with the contract. This contract mainly addresses economics and some non-economic issues. The largest issue that we faced was bringing our pay scale in line with our peer agency departments. So this is a 4-year collective bargaining agreement, and it addresses those economics in 4 parts. In year 1 of that cost of that economic package, there's an increase to scale, as well as the merit increase, and then a cost of living increase. And so the total increase over that first year is about 10% to scale, merit, and COLA. Year 2 is again scale, merit, and COLA, and that's an 8% increase. Year 3 is a 3% scale, 3% merit, 2% COLA, which is the same as year 2, so that is also an 8%. And year 4 is a 2.5% increase to scale, a 3% merit increase, and then the COLA as defined by council, that's the same as all city employees would receive. So you would set the COLA for that year. The reason that this is structured the way it is, based on our economic survey of our peer agencies, which included the agencies from the previous study that HR did last year on economics for other city staff, we were between 5 and 8% behind those agencies. And those were Bowie, Laurel, and other municipalities within our area and in the county. So this will bring us even with those agencies. It will put us competitively in near the midpoint to the top of the market. Now, all those agencies obviously will renegotiate at some point in the future, but this 4-year agreement with these scale increases is designed to keep us competitive with all of the other agencies. We think it's a fair contract. Some of the other smaller monetary issues that are addressed in it, there's an increase in specialty pay. There's a larger increase in our language pay. One of the things that we wanted to address across the city is that we have a growing population of non-English speakers, and we have a growing department of officers that speak a second language. And we wanted to address that skill that they use every day. And so that's something that was increased up to a double what the previous specialty pay was. And then some of the other things that appear in it, or just simply corrections to what the city's already doing in terms of a medical reimbursement that all city employees receive, and a residency bonus that is also paid out. So those numbers increase slightly, but that just matches what we're already paying. Some of the non-economic issues had to do with promotions and how the timing for promotions work to increase the ability to promote officers. As you know, we have a substantially younger, newer staff, and so we want to be able to provide those opportunities to grow inside the organization. And those were big for us, getting that promotional changes made. Some of the other things, we removed any references to the old LEOBR, which is Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights, and replaced all of those sections with the new Maryland Police Accountability Act. And that really represents the vast majority of the changes to the contract. Again, like I said, the biggest one was economics, and so that is the largest percent here. I will say, as an editorial note, we started this process as a city side back in August and met with the FOP. We had 3 negotiating sessions, Sergeant Fox? 3 negotiating sessions. We concluded it just before Christmas. And as far as Sergeant Potts and I are aware, nobody's ever completed it before the start of the year. So we're really excited about this contract. We got it done quickly. Thank you for all your support. City manager was phenomenal in this. So we couldn't have done it without everybody involved, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, council is really excited about the contract, but mostly, we are concerned and we want to make sure that the members of FOP Lodge 32 are properly compensated. So it's a negotiation, but it's a dialogue, and the fact that we're at this point now means that it must have been a very open and productive dialogue. So, Lodge President Potts, what do you have to say about this agreement?
Well, just like you said, Mayor, and the chief said, is historically, I've been here for 15 years, and I've been a part of this process every time we've had the negotiations, and this is the fastest and the smoothest we've ever done. With that being said, on behalf of our members, we want to thank you and all the city, the council, and your team. Like you said, we only had 3 meetings. Historically, we probably would be starting around this time right now. So this is good that we're here tonight, and we have an agreement we can put in front of you, and hope that you accept it. And we thank you. And on behalf of all our members, we voted on it and we accepted it. So we believe this is a good deal.
Very good, very good. Now, I don't know, the congratulations may not be, I know what I'm going to do. I don't know what my peers are going to do on the council, but we got to vote on this and we got to discuss it. So anybody have comments? Ms. Pope?
I'd like to introduce this, if I could now.
Yes, please, go ahead. And this is for the
first reading
and suspension of the rules.
I'd like to introduce for first readings and suspension of the rules a resolution to approve a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Greenbelt and Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 32, effective July 1, 2025.
I'll second that.
Well, no, it's first reading. You don't need
yeah,
Okay, I'm just going to go to second.
But we have to do the suspension of the rules.
Suspension of the rules. So, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. McKinney?
Yes.
Ms. Poppy?
Yes.
Ms. Pope?
Yes.
Ms. Niesel?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Jordan?
Yes.
The motion passed.
Okay. Would you like to introduce it for a second reading?
Second reading. So I would like to introduce for second reading and adoption a resolution to approve a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Greenbelt and Fraternal Order of Police Lodge Number 32, effective July 1, 2025.
I'll second that. Okay, discussion. Council, any questions? Yeah.
I don't have a question. I just want to thank everyone for doing such a great job and for getting the negotiations done early because it makes budgeting for the city that much easier. So, you know, congratulations on getting things done, and we really appreciate it.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, and I have, this is the first time I've been through this process, but it seemed like everything went really well, and it didn't look like when I was looking through all the track changes, you know, very few things. So I'm glad that I'm glad that we were able to come to an agreement so quickly. Thank you.
The least contentious, I think I want to say. I mean, I've been here for a while, so I've have a little bit of experience with these things, but no, thank you, and I want to thank everyone involved as well for working cooperatively and together and coming to an agreement, because in the end, this is all of our goal. We're going to have to come to an agreement, right? And we want to make sure it's fair and proper. And you are doing I mean, our police force does an excellent job every day, and you put your lives on the line, and you're out there every day, every night when we call you. And I think all of you, but no, I want to thank you really for everything you do for all of us, for our entire city. And I think that's great. We're at a great place. And so we're just going to move right along.
Okay, any other comments from council? Mr. Roberts, you've been through a few more of these CBAs than anybody else up here. Any thoughts?
Well, I think this, I'm glad to see that this did go through relatively quickly, because some of the first bargaining sessions, when, you know, was it 2005 or something, took a little longer and were a little more complicated. So I think over time, it's getting less complicated and working better, I think. So, yeah.
Okay.
I have. Good luck in the 4 years to come. There you go.
Challenging
Thank
time,
you.
that's for sure.
Thank you.
Let's see, Mr. Hartman and Mr. Orleans.
Michael Hartman, 2 Court Garden Way. I want to thank everyone involved in getting this done in an amicable and good way. I especially appreciate the fact that you recognize the importance of a second language, and that speakers of second languages, and I assume also you have native speakers of a second language. But I'm curious about American Sign Language. Do any of your officers at this point know American Sign Language, or have you had any experience with that area to helping people who are deaf in Greenbelt? I know that a while ago, one of the former chiefs met with the deaf community to talk about ways that communication could be improved with people who are deaf, especially in terms of orders to people who don't hear what the order is, and in avoiding accidental incidents from a lack of the communication when someone doesn't hear because they're deaf and they don't respond appropriately to an officer's order. But about sign language, do any of your officers use sign language on a basis?
I believe the answer is yes, but I'd have to confirm that for you, Michael.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hurling's closer to the microphone, but Mr. Hurling, why don't you go ahead, and then Mr. Orleans. Mr. Hurling, please.
Conrad.
Conrad.
Didn't you want to say?
Now am I ready to hit? I applaud council.
Just speak right into the mic, because people, make sure you get right close to the mic.
Can I take this home with me so I can practice?
No.
I'm glad to see that we're getting closer, I take it, in terms of what Laurel and Bowie offer. What I'm wondering, because one of the bigger reasons that not only our police but also other city employees and other county employees move from this area to elsewhere, such as Montgomery County, is that Montgomery County offers more. Are we getting closer with respect to being more competitive with Montgomery County?
The answer is yes. This contract will make us competitive not only with the municipalities, but also bring us close to the counties as well.
That can be very helpful.
Mr. Orleans?
Bill Orleans, I appreciate what was unasked in Mr. Hurling's comment. I personally welcome a positive resolution of all collective bargaining. Greenbelt's charter recognizes only one unit of Greenbelt employees having the right to organize and bargain collectively. It's been suggested in the past that council should still recognize the rights of other employees of the city of Greenbelt. It has thus far chosen not to do so, not even to consider doing so. Possibly with the advent of a charter commission, so-called, the subject will come up again. But of course, council, if it appreciates positive resolutions of its collective bargaining with the FOP, it doesn't have to wait for any suggestion emanating from that charter review commission. It could simply vote on its own to amend the charter, recognizing the right of other employees to organize and bargain collectively. And we might have more positive resolutions in the future where council can be so thankful of such with regard to other employees of the city of Greenbelt, if they so chose to organize and collectively bargain. Thank you.
Well, thank you. The city of Greenbelt, we're very, very appreciative of the efforts of all of our employees. And an example of that is quite often some of the terms of the negotiations with the FOP Lodge 32, we actually end up enacting a similar package for our other employees. We try our best to treat all of our employees equally, or shall I say the city manager and the city administration, at the direction of city council. So council is well aware of its prerogatives. Are there any, Mr. Roberts, please go ahead.
Well, I think I was remiss in not thanking Mr. Silvestri because really he is the architect of this document going back to 2005. And I think he's one of the reasons why we're able to go through this more smoothly as time has gone on. So I appreciate his work on behalf of the city. So thank you, Mr. Silvestri. I don't think he's here tonight, but thank you wherever you are.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that. So if there's no further discussion, you already made the motion. So Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Kenny?
Yes.
Ms. Pompey?
Yes.
Ms. Pope?
Yes.
Ms. Niesel?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts? Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Jordan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Just express council's deep appreciation to Lodge 32 for representing the rank and file, our officers and employees, for all that they do. Really, really appreciate the good work, and I'm glad to get this done for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you for voting for it. Yeah, look at this.
Okay, at this time, we're going to move back to item number 7E. And that's a public hearing to amend Section 32 vacancies on council to change the procedure for filling vacancies on the council by following procedures in newly enacted Section 8-14 of Chapter 8 of the City Code. On November the 18th, the council addressed the important issue of filling vacancies on city council. The members evaluated this matter through a charter amendment or by updating the election code. We had two options. The Board of Elections provided a recommendation to outline the procedure within the election code, which would enhance the efficiency of future amendments. In response, council directed staff to draft a charter amendment that references the election code and directly incorporates the board's recommendations. So an ordinance and a charter amendment resolution have been prepared in alignment with the Board of Elections insights and the City Council's objectives. So just to ensure adequate public input and transparency, we're going to hold a public hearing for any comments on the proposed process, the proposed legislation. Following the discussion, the meeting will be reconvened. So at this time, I'm going to bang the gavel 3 times. And I hereby call this public hearing to order. And the topic of the public hearing is filling council vacancies. So if there are any comments, anyone here in the room or online that wishes to comment, now is the time. Mayor Pro Tem, do we have anybody
We have a
online?
hand raised online. Jay Davis?
Okay. Let's see. Let's promote Jay Davis so that she can speak. Jay Davis, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Welcome.
Jay Davis, Greenbelt East. First of all, I want to congratulate council and the FOP for coming together on their agreement. I was on council when this whole process started, and I must admit it was much more contentious because there were so many problems and disagreements to work out, including the amount of pay and salary, because at times we didn't know whether we could afford it or not. Obviously, we have to afford it. There's no way out of that. But mainly what I want to say tonight is I also am very pleased that council is going to address the omission in the charter and the city code concerning vacancies. And you're going to be dealing with that tonight. And I do believe that you are dealing with it in an appropriate manner. However, when I read through both the ordinance and the charter amendment, I noticed that there was a wording discrepancy. And I'd like to point that out so that it can be amended when you deal with that. First of all, in the city code section 814 proposed, capital B in parens, in the middle of that statement, if people will look at it, it says in each city area in Greenbelt East, Central, and West. And that is the correct order that we have decided that we refer to those city areas. However, when you go to the charter amendment, section 32, small b, parens, it says in each city area in East, Central, West, Greenbelt. Now you say, oh, well, that's the same, isn't it? No. If you look at the order, it is not in the correct, appropriate order. And I hope that when you amend it, that you will simply say the same wording as you have in the ordinance, section 814, capital B, parens. In other words, in each city area in Greenbelt East, Central, and West.
Well, thank you very much. That strikes me as it's not a substantial change, so I think we can amend that without really starting from scratch. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, and I guess this might not be the right time to address it because we're still in the public hearing. But I think actually the charter amendment doesn't include that language at all. There was the incorrect charter amendment was posted initially in the packet. The actual correct charter amendment is much shorter. It just refers back to 814 where that language is correct. So it is the correct charter amendment, the one that we introduced on December 9th, is in the packet now online, but it was because we had debated those two options. So the correct one is posted now, but there was a bit of an error, the wrong one posted initially. So I think that's already resolved, Ms. Davis.
I'm glad to hear that, but it makes it difficult when someone looks at what's on the posted agenda and notices something, and then all of a sudden it's changed, because someone noticed that it was not correct. But thank you, and I hope that clears up that particular point. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Jay Davis. Hey, so public comment. Any other public comment during this hearing? Oh, Mr. Orleans, please.
I certainly welcome consideration of this by council. It's been a long time in coming. However, while I favor council adopting an amendment to the charter and also the code reflective of a special election to fill a vacancy, I object to it retaining the right to appoint to fill a vacancy if it falls within a threshold. I've suggested in the past, I believe others have suggested in the past, that if a vacancy occurs too close, and that's debatable how to determine that it's too close, but too close to the next municipal election, that the seat remain vacant. The better practice of democracy is that people are not appointed to elective office, they are elected to elective office. And if it requires there being a vacancy on council for a short period of time, then so be it. If it's felt that there should not be a vacancy, then the procedure, as I quickly skimmed it tonight and previously was aware of, the procedure to schedule quickly a special election by mail could be is available even for the short duration of more than 60 days, if that were the threshold to be finally adopted. But in any event, I favor special election to fill a vacancy. I continue to oppose council retaining the right to appoint for any length of time. If there's a vacancy, it should be left vacant until the election.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rosenthal.
Good evening, Laura Rosenthal, 2 Court Garden Way. So this is the public hearing, and we're talking about what you all are going to be voting on after the public hearing, right? And the actual document that we're discussing is in the agenda, the part when you're going to be voting on it. But I tried to read through the document, and I just have a question about one particular part, and maybe this is for Mr. Gilbert as well, that it was my understanding that was something like the city clerk would contact Prince George's County Board of Elections, get a list of all those people that were registered to vote in Prince George's County, basically citizens of Prince George's County, and that the clerk would also be providing a supplemental voters list. And what my question is, so I'll just spell it out the way I understand it, that I assume that means registered non-citizens who would not be on the Prince George's County list because they don't vote in other elections. But I'm just wondering why the vague language. So here's my guess, is that I'm assuming it means registered non-citizen voters, but is there some fear of admitting that? Is that putting anyone at risk? Will the non-citizen residents need to be legal residents in the United States, or would the city approve illegal aliens who may be in jeopardy of deportation? Is that the reason for the vague reference? And would the police order the, from a couple years ago when the police agreed that they would not be cooperating with ICE unless a non-citizen resident had a warrant out for their arrest? So I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but I guess my question is, am I right that this vague word of supplemental voters list is the list of non-resident citizens who have registered for the election? And why make it so vague? Is it for their protection that we're making it vague? Sorry for the long-winded question.
So it's a public hearing, so perhaps we can address the question once we get to finish the public hearing and actually get to the ordinance and the resolution in a couple of minutes, unless there are some other comments. Are there any other comments online?
No, no more raised hands online.
Anybody else in the room like to make a comment? Okay. Well, thank you for the comments. Appreciate them, taking them into consideration. I'm going to bang the gavel and close this public hearing. And at this time, I'd like to actually special order, I think I have to do this, special order number 11. Or is number 11 next?
Number 11 is next.
Oh, cool. That is very cool. So item number 11 is an ordinance of the Council of the City of Greenbelt amending Chapter 8 Elections of the City Code to add Section 8-14 Vacancies on Council, to implement procedures for filling vacancies on the council relative to the next regular election, and provide the voters of the city to participate in that process. And this is for second reading and adoption. So posted on the city website and enclosed in council's packet is an ordinance of the Council of the City of Greenbelt amending Chapter 8 Elections of the City Code to add Section 8-14 Vacancies on Council. This amendment outlines the procedures for filling vacancies. Ms. Weaver, you introduced for first reading on December the 9th at that council meeting. You introduced that for first reading. So are you interested in actually putting this forward for a second reading and adoption?
Certainly, I can do that. I move for introduced for second reading an ordinance of the Council of the City of Greenbelt amending Chapter 8 Elections of the City Code to add Section 8-14 Vacancies on Council, to implement procedures for filling vacancies on the council relative to the next regular election, and to provide the voters of the city to participate in the process.
I'll second that.
What does that mean?
Well, that's a good question. Why don't we ask Mr. Gilbert? Thank you so much for joining us today and getting to this point. We've had several work sessions. We've been advertising the ordinance and the resolution in the Greenbelt News Review for the past month or so. We've held a public hearing, and this is all in an effort to make sure that everyone who is interested, everyone can get the information and can understand this process for filling a vacancy on council. I was reading, looking through newsletters and things from other cities, and I noticed College Park is actually updating their process for filling vacancies on council, and they'll be voting on it in February the 7th. And instead of 180 days there, they're actually extending their period to 365 to a year. Now, they have 4-year terms. We have 2-year terms. I think that sort of explains it. But Mr. Roberts, please ask your question.
Well, I wonder what sentence means where it says to provide the voters of the city to participate in process. I'm not quite getting that.
I think it
seemed to be.
I think it.
I don't know.
I think it may just be an error in the narrative that's written, but I think we need to just stick to the intent of what we're trying to do here. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I think Mr. Roberts, to answer that question, it's because the amendment, the code talks about the requirement for the hearings in the 3 parts of the city. That's the voter participation process. Because what's currently in our code for filling a vacancy is just that single sentence about council appointing a replacement. But this new ordinance requires that we have public hearings in that middle period, and also the special elections for the 180 days or more, which was not in our charter before, as well as in that middle period, the requirement for public hearings. So it's not that we couldn't have done that. Well, the special elections, I think, is arguable. We did hold hearings in all parts of the city for the most recent vacancy, but now our election code requires us to do that. So it's actually making it It's actually making it stricter that we must involve, that we have special elections for a certain period. We have the hearings if it's in the middle period. So it's making it, it's ensuring that we are required to have that sort of engagement, whereas right now our charter doesn't say one or the other.
That doesn't explain that sentence to me. Forget it. Just forget it.
Okay. Maybe Mr. Gilbert, maybe you can explain it better than I tried.
This is over,
Just forget it.
because we have been working on this for quite some time, and here we are at the
I-
penultimate step. So, Mr. Roberts,
Speaking, I'll just give you my opinion. I think this really is not much different than what we have right now. In fact, I think what we have right now is better than this because it allows the council to do it in many more ways. And it allows the council to just say, we're going to have an election. The way it is now, we can just say, hey, we're going to have an election. And then we have an election, and then the citizens say what they want, and then the city council ratifies that. We can do that very easily because the wording in the charter now is very open-ended and allows you to do a lot more. And this is just, to me, extending, the right of the council to appoint people. And I don't think we should be appointing people to the council. It should be the residents electing people to the council. And we found out why in the last go around when we did appoint someone, because it was, not a good process and it doesn't work well. And that's really not what the citizens want. The citizens want to be able to vote on their council members. And this is just perpetuating that, I think. So I'm not voting for this. Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, each council member has a vote and is certainly entitled to their opinion. I do agree that this step does actually remove a great deal of discretion from council, but it lays out a process. It's been thoroughly vetted, and it's actually a recommendation of our Board of Elections. A lot of thought has gone into this, so I'm confident that it is, in fact, a step in the right direction, and I'm going to be supportive. Mr. Gilbert, would the two of you like to make any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm here with Nicole Xiong tonight, and we are here to answer questions. We can go through anything that you like in the two drafts. If you if you have questions, if you'd like us to walk you through any of it, but in answer, first of all, to Ms. Rosenthal's question, the idea was that we would use the county's voter list for Greenbelt, and then add to that the non-citizen voting list, and we just wanted to keep it general. We didn't have any more thought about it than that. If that answers your question, and Mr. Mayor, we wanted to point out with the charter as it is now, Section 32, it does call for a majority vote of the council as soon as possible to fill a vacancy, and so we thought that was it. We thought that was a little bit, number one, vague, and number two, very difficult to implement, as we saw after the last election. And so the proposals you have before you are to put it all in the election code, a new Section 814, and if it is decided at some point that the procedures in the code should be modified, it'll be easy to do that. So that was the idea.
Yeah, I think that that's helpful. So I think that this is a step in the right direction. Things change, life happens. I mentioned College Park, so they are updating their vacancy framework, and but also they have a resignation on council. Councilman Adams has resigned because of family responsibilities. So, I mean, things happen. I'm sorry to hear that too. So, was was it something I said? No, there's an alarm going off. I'm sure that it's
It may not be
okay.
audible on the Zoom.
So, are there any questions or comments online?
Nope, there are no questions or comments online.
Okay, any further discussion from council? I'd like to go ahead and you made the motion. Who was it? Did I second that? Who seconded? Yeah, that it all's coming back to me now. So, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. McKinney?
Yes.
Ms. Pompey?
Yes.
Ms. Pope?
Yes.
Ms. Niesel?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
No.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Jordan?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay, that's going to bring us to item number 12, a charter amendment resolution of the Council of the City of Greenbelt to amend Section 32 vacancies on council to change the procedure for filling vacancies on council by following procedures in the newly enacted Section 814 of the Chapter 8 of the City Code. This is for second reading and adoption. During the regular meeting on November 18th, Council discussed how to fill vacancies on the City Council. They considered whether to address this issue through a charter amendment or by updating the City Election Code. The Board of Elections recommended that the procedure be outlined in the Election Code to facilitate future amendments if necessary. In response to the suggestion, Council directed staff to draft a charter amendment that references the Election Code and incorporates the Board's recommendations directly into the code. Tonight, Council held a public hearing prior to the second reading and adoption of this ordinance, possible adoption of this ordinance, to gather input from residents. So, enclosed in Council's packet and posted on the city website is the legislation for review. Ms. Weaver, you introduced for first reading the December 9th council meeting. You introduced this resolution. And are you interested? Would you like to introduce this item, resolution, for second reading and move for adoption tonight?
I move for second reading and adoption, the charter amendment resolution of the Council of the City of Greenbelt to amend Section 32, vacancies on council, to change the procedure for, excuse me, for filling vacancies on the council by following procedures in newly enacted Section 8-14 of Chapter 8 of the City Code.
I'll second that.
And I think this one, because of the confusion, I think it might be worth going ahead and reading what I'll put it back up on the screen. And reading what this is. So this is the corrected version. This is the more minimal charter amendment. So this is what that section would, Section 32, vacancies on council, how it would read. And I'm going to remove the part in brackets because that would be removed. So if a seat on the council becomes vacant for any reason, including without limitation, death or resignation, physical or mental or legal incapacity, or willful failure to participate in council proceedings, all is determined by majority vote of the council, then the vacancy shall be filled as provided in Section 8-14 of the City Code.
Okay, is there any discussion?
So can I ask?
Yeah, Ms. Pope, please go ahead.
What's a willful failure to participate in council proceedings?
Well, I guess if someone decided just to stop coming, they're on council and they just stopped coming to council meetings and did not participate.
Thank you.
So, Madam Clerk, will you call the...
Was that a
sorry.
question?
Was there a question? I didn't see any.
No, I can't tell. I'm sorry. I thought Ms. Rosenthal had her hand up.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
McKinney?
Yes.
Ms. Pompey?
Yes.
Ms. Pope?
Yes.
Ms. Niesel?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts? No. Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Jordan?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Steve and Nicole, thank you so much. Please share our appreciation to the other members of the Board of Election for all the work that you've done so far and all the work you're going to continue to do for the next few months. Seriously, thank you for all you do. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've skipped over admin reports, I realized.
Oh, my God. Hey, let's pivot back. Mr. Summerone, can we please have administrative updates?
Absolutely. I'll be brief. We just dealt with two weather events. We had a significant storm event with 8 inches of snow accumulation at the beginning of the week. The team did a great job in the preparatory work. We had our crews activated on Sunday night at 10 p.m. for snow that arrived at 1 a.m. And I would say that we had the best crew around. We were able to get the working right away when the snowfall happened, and team worked through all of Monday. We were well prepared with all the equipment, maybe a little too prepared because we had the teams waiting around until the snow arrived, and that extended the service period that we were operating. So the team was pretty tired through an extensive snowfall, but we got it done, and we were prepared for the 2 inches that were expected over the weekend. Fortunately, the weather, the temperatures were warm enough that salting was all that was required, and we were able to salt, and the snow melted, and we didn't have a need for snow plowing activity. So our team did a great job as expected. They're very proud of the system that they've developed, and they executed well.
Hey,
I want to thank Public Works and the police department that were here, and all the employees that were here to deal with the snow event.
Yeah, things, it could have been worse. So Public Works, and, thank you, Mr. Summerone, and everybody in Public Works and all our employees for making the city shine. But it was a little bit warmer today. It's been warm and then cold, refreezes. So I just want to remind all of our residents and multifamily developments about our regulations about clearing sidewalks, because it is slippery out in some places, and in some of the larger developments. I mean, it takes time. This is a heavy snow. It's really the heaviest snow we've had in several years.
Yes, correct.
So from a code enforcement standpoint, the requirement is 48 hours?
48 hours since the last snowfall.
Right. So I know that we tend to be responsive, but at this point, it's if you haven't cleared off your sidewalk, I'm looking at you, Ms. Poe.
Mine is clear. You
Uh-huh.
can come visit anytime.
But all kidding aside, it's really, really important. We have just there. We have older people, folks with mobility challenges, and just regular people walking around. We pride ourselves in our walkability, so it's very, very important. Sometimes it's not a bad idea when it snows to try and get out there before it freezes to clear off the sidewalk, because when it gets icy, there's not a whole lot you can do. Put some sand out or kitty litter. But, and also to our commercial residents and retail businesses and whatnot.
The commercials are much easier for us to deal with because we monitor those on a regular basis, and we have those contacts to follow up and remind them of the law. I think with the residential community, it's a little more difficult because, one, it's complaint-based, and there are some people that they struggle to clear the snow on their sidewalk and they need assistance. So I think it's one of those situations where neighbors need assistance, and we encourage folks to help each other out. But obviously we have to watch out for the welfare and public safety of our residents. So we do have an obligation per our regulations to follow up when the sidewalks haven't been cleared. So we would take those complaints.
Also, I know there's questions about trash pickup and recycling and bulk trash and whatnot.
We are caught up. We're caught up with our residential trash pickup. There are some trash at Central Park that we needed to pick up today. But obviously there's a lot of snow to deal with. We did a good job of that. We were able to catch up with the regular residential trash pickup by Friday. And now we're trying to get back into the swing of regular operations.
Appreciate that. Mayor Pro Tem.
I think Mr. Roberts had his hand up.
Mr. Roberts.
Thank you. I have a question on another issue. Today I was down behind the center there, parked in the lower parking lot, and I noticed that the water coming out of the outfall there, going into the creek, down to the lake, is full of mud. I mean, it's really, really muddy, clay, red clay mud. And none of the, water coming off the parking lot or anywhere else appears to have any mud in it. So I was wondering if maybe you could check into that and see, what is the source of that? Because it's really having a horrible impact on that creek there. Any living thing that's in there and with that mud in, it's really not going to survive very well. So I'd just be curious to find out where it's coming from, because as far as I know, there's no construction projects going on.
Where was this?
The outfall down behind the center. Yeah.
Because there was a main break at 19 Hillside, and that was going all through the rivulets in Stream Valley, and so you may have been seeing.
I don't know how Hillside would make it down to the,
No.
because all the water coming down to that space here is coming from up here on the hill. It's not coming from Hillside.
Oh, you're right, because it meets.
Yeah,
up with-
Hillside would be
Yeah,
running down
yeah.
the Stream Valley, would be going down that way.
Well, it could be another water main
But the majority of the water that ends up down behind the center is coming from this area here, south of the center, on the other side of the center. So anyway, just wondering, because it wasn't looking very good.
We'll have it inspected, and fortunately, thank you, council, for approving the camera, the sewer camera that we acquired, because that would allow us to get a camera into the outfall and see if there's any leaks, any penetrations through the cavity of the culvert and the piping. Maybe there could be a leakage into the sewer system.
Do we have that camera yet?
Yes, we have the camera.
Oh,
already.
perfect.
Mhm, mhm.
Perfect.
We'll look into it. Among my reports includes a pool project update. I met with the Department of Permitting office today to get some more insights on how to proceed with the project or requirements that we need from them. We feel very comfortable where we are to present a plan of action, scope of work, a timeline, and a communication to council at our work session scheduled for January 22nd. There are a few other things that we need to do to be able to execute that project. While we've been talking about this pool project for some time, we had initially budgeted or planned to pay for the repairs through the ARPA money. However, since we've received a grant and we will be paying for the project through local dollars and a $1.5 million grant from the program Open Space Funding, we need budget appropriation from council and approval of contracts. So if one of the things you can expect for the 27th is emergency legislation to grant the administration appropriation authority so that we can spend the money. And then we'll add that to the revenue line, as we're expecting $1.5 million. So the way the mechanics of that funding will work is that the grant that we receive is a reimbursable grant, so we have to spend the money first. Hence, we need the authority from council to spend the money so that we can claim the reimbursement. So those would be two pieces of legislation that council should expect for the next meeting: the budget supplemental and the contract for the work. We have kicked off the website upgrade. We will send out to council a survey to get your feedback on several items. One is the layout, and others will be features for the website. So the team is compiling a list of sites, and we'll send council a limited number of sites that we have vetted to get your feedback. We are on a tight deadline, so we will send those in a timely manner to you and give you enough time to provide your input. The tight deadline is more of a self-imposed. The company is willing to work with us as long as we need to take the website. So if we want to take a year to do the website, they'll stay on for a year. But it is council has made his wishes well known that we want to move through this as quickly as possible and within reason. The recodification project is well underway. I have shared with council the legal analysis. So if you have any questions, let us know. We will bring the recodification ordinances to council sometime late March. The timing may prove a little difficult because at the end of March, we'll be presenting our FY26 budget. So we need to squeeze in that legislation within all the work sessions and city business. And with that, I will take any questions you may have.
Sorry. I can't get rid of this cough. So actually, it's going back to the snow removal because a resident mentioned there, I guess in Rockville, they have a sign up that people can sign up to volunteer to help clear sidewalks. And then also a sign up for like seniors can sign up if they need help. And I was able to find it on the Rockville City website, so I can send this out, but I don't know. And it does look like it is something that the city is coordinating. So there's just a space here. And then of course the Zoom window is blocking. So then it looks like there's just a form on their snow removal page, and then there's a sign up if you're a senior needing help or other person needing help, a senior or individual with a disability needing help, and then another sign up that has like the people who are willing to volunteer, and there's, noting that there's no guarantee of that, but I don't know if that's something it'd be interesting to know from the city of Rockville, like who coordinates that. But it was just an idea that was shared by a resident who used to live in Rockville and said, Greenbelt does most things better, but that's one thing that Rockville did right. So,
I believe they have a volunteer coordinator, so I'll look into that. And I think that last message is right. I was at the MML opening reception. I got a chance to speak with the mayor of Rockville, and I told her how great we were. And then she jumped in and she said, well, we at Rockville, and went on to say how great they are. So.
Well, but anyway, that was just an idea that came up from a resident, because I think there was sort of an informal people offering to shovel, but that's something that could be, if there were a more centralized way to do it, then that might be preferable to the here and there people posting on Facebook, hey, who can shovel, or I need help, who's available. Just something a little bit more organized might get more people's needs met than the sort of haphazard. Not that it isn't great to just shovel your neighbors, but not everybody necessarily has that. They don't necessarily have the immediate neighbors that are available to do that. They may need to look a little bit wider.
Right,
And there were a lot of kids out of school for a lot of days that clearly needed things to occupy themselves, right?
That's true.
Well, thank you for that. I'll look into that. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge our numerous residents who go out of the way to just clear snow off public sidewalks, trails. So while we are lacking coordination to the level of Rockville has, we have a very, very animated and supportive group of residents that go out of the way to help remove snow all over the city. Mm-hmm.
They've got that in DC as well.
Well, DC has the Serve DC, which is the volunteer arm. So they have an entire department that coordinates volunteers. And they also run the AmeriCorps program and other volunteer corps programs.
Tier coordinator.
It rings a bell from previous budget work sessions, doesn't it?
So we do have a hand raised.
Okay, any other questions from council? Yeah.
We have one online.
Thank you, Mr. Salmarone. I'm still Laura Rosenthal. I still live at 2 Court. Just to get back to the snow removal, maybe you can help save me a phone call that I didn't get to make today to GHI. But there's these like gray areas. I'll just give you like 3 examples. I know the 48-hour rule, you're supposed to shovel your own walkway, right? But like, for example, where I live, there's 2 neighbors that live next door to each other, but there's sort of like a public sidewalk in between the 2 of them to get to the playground, and like, is that their responsibility or is that like GHI's responsibility? And then there's, when you're going to walk to the underpass, there's between like GHI and the apartments, there's a nice little sidewalk there before you go down the hill. I mean, in both of these examples, they're still very icy. And then there's a 3rd sidewalk along like to a garden way that's actually garden way. So it's the pathway that the kids walk, across the Spelman overpass into Roosevelt Center, and it's totally icy. So is that 2A garden way's responsibility to shovel the public walkway that's between GHI and the city? So like, how does one know who's like not doing what they should be doing? Because I mean, these are very large swaths. It's one thing to, if you live in GHI, like do like, from here to here, the end of your property. But it's another thing like to spend a long time, especially like you said, you wait and it gets icy. So who's the arbiter? Who knows who's supposed to be doing what? The residents, GHI, the apartment dwellers, or the city of Greenbelt?
Well, the arbiters would be code enforcement. So when in doubt, call
But I
call
don't
code
wanna get to
enforcement.
that,
Yes.
but
So I will follow up with the team. Often it's who's the closest property owner to that section of sidewalk. There are areas that we are clearing the snow that is close to residential properties because they play a critical role in our infrastructure. So, for example, the bus stops. Our team was out clearing snow on the bus stops because that's critical transportation infrastructure. But well, I'll follow up with those particular.
But I mean, I think
address.
I'll call GHI just to clarify also, because, you know, they've reported that they've done a wonderful job and they've cleared, you know, 75% and then 100%, but they might have said, oh, we didn't know this was ours. We thought the residents of the court were taking care of it. And like specifically, like between GHI and the apartments, like the Lawrence apartments or what's the first one, this Crescent Park, Crescent Square, is it the apartment maintenance is supposed to be shoveling behind the apartments on your way down
Yes,
the
those, yes.
underpass?
Mhm.
Yeah. And then what about walk, you know, from the Spelman overpass to Roosevelt Center, that very long walkway that all the students are walking, you know? But it's next door to someone's property, but
Yeah.
it's sort of, isn't that city property?
The Spelman is ours. I'll check with the team on the rest of the Spelman, but we took care of the Spelman.
You what?
I think we took care of the Spelman overpass.
Right. No, but
Yeah.
all the way down Garden Way, all the way to
Garden
the
Way.
Sunoco.
Yeah.
So this was the sidewalk.
Yeah, the
And
sidewalk.
the kids, they're happy to slip and slide on the
Right.
sidewalk, but I'm not. So I'm walking in the street. You know?
Well,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
you know-
complaining. It was just kind of funny, like
Right.
what happened to this 48-hour rule, and now it's been like a week. And
I think what happens, you know, when the sidewalks aren't clear, you know, the kids and a lot of people just walk in the street, and that's dangerous. So, City Manager Summerlin, please follow up on that. And I guess sometimes it is an issue with multi-family development and apartment development, or GHI, or condos, or apartments. So, will you please follow up on that?
Of course.
I mean,
Well,
I
thank
mean,
you so
I know
much.
it comes up in other ways, like,
Thank-
you know, what's your sidewalk and where you can put a sign for the election, like in your yard or on the other little tiny, like, you know, green strip on the other side of your yard. I mean, I know people have had all kinds of arguments about that, but it's just, it kind of, you know, raised it to my attention with this whole 48-hour rule. But
Okay,
I'm very
okay,
lucky
yeah.
because all of my neighbors, they're up and shoveling Michael and I walkway before we could even get out there and do it ourselves. So, you know, the spirit of
Thank-
volunteerism is alive and well in Greenbelt.
Thank you very much.
We do have one hand raised online.
Ms. Davis, please.
Hi there, Jay Davis, Greenbelt East. In reference to having young people, students, whatever, to shovel, brings to mind that Gives at one point, the intergenerational volunteer service. We used to have some youth create leaves for people until we realized that there is a legality problem. They have to have an adult supervisor. So if we do have a volunteer coordinator and they do have a group of young people, they would have to have an adult with them, not only to protect the youth, but also to make sure that the youth are doing what they're supposed to be doing and not just fooling around. So that's one thing about shoveling snow or raking leaves and using any kind of young people, students. You have to have adult supervision.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Hartman?
Michael Hartman, Two Court Garden Way. Another aspect that I think is very important is to make sure that the curb cuts are not covered when the streets are plowed. The curb cut on Garden Way and Crescent was covered with ice for several days, and I just noticed today that the city crew was cleaning out the bus stop, and they also cleaned off the curb cut. But also, in past years, I've seen snow plowed, and then they, like in a parking lot, and they dump it in a parking space that is designated for people with disabilities. And it's just really important when after the plow goes through to send a team in to make sure curb cuts and the bus stops are cleared too, because those big snow plows just they have no conscience. The plow itself, the people are great, but the snowplow just plows, and so it's important to look at the curb cuts and the bus stops. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to special order item number 15 to the next item on the agenda. And item number 15 is a preliminary review of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing off-site roadway improvements. The city has reviewed the Bureau of Engraving and Printing 30% design off-site roadway improvement plans as identified in the previously approved supplemental environmental impact statement and traffic impact study. Staff has identified and recommended and made recommendations to the submitted plans. This item was a referral from the National Capital Planning Commission, which will hold a public hearing on February the 6th, 2025. Staff intends to attend and testify at this hearing. Staff recommends that City Council transmit a letter to the National Capital Planning Commission summarizing the items of concern as discussed above, noting the lack of Prince George's County Master Plan conformance, and restating the city's overall opposition to the project. So one of our planners, Ryan Sigworth, is here with us. Mr. Sigworth, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for briefing us on the proposal and the content of a letter. I think a draft is actually attached to the packet. Mr. Sigworth, welcome.
Good evening, members of the City Council. You're correct. There's a draft letter in the packet for you to review and add to or subtract from at your discretion. There is
there's a PDF for this. A couple of yeah.
That can be brought up real quickly, or I have it in front of me. I can just sort of add.
Mayor Pro Tem, can you bring that up, please? Do you need some water or something?
No, I'm mostly over the cold. I just can't get rid of the cough.
Oh, perfect. So as you mentioned, this is the 30% design on the offsite roadway improvements, which were identified as part of the supplemental environmental impact assessment and the traffic study done for BEP. And as I understand it, this referral is likely to be the last referral on this project to the city. We won't see the 60% design or the final design on these plans. We've already reviewed the building plans and site plans and all that. So in talking with NCPC, this is likely, unless there's a major shift in the project, the last referral we'll get. I won't go through the location. I think everyone knows where this property is. So if you can just skip forward. So there's really two, and there's a map in the next couple slides that shows this area. There's really two areas of road improvements happening. It's the Edmonston corridor, roughly from Powder Mill south and ending before the Beaver Dam Creek. And the second area is on Powder Mill Road, where it crosses under the BW Parkway. Those are the two areas that are in the plan set. As far as the Edmonston Road improvements, just as a highlight, it includes widening the road with additional north and southbound through lanes, also additional right and left-hand turn lanes at Beaver Dam Road, and also at Powder Mill Road. It does adjust the traffic signals to accommodate for those changes as well. One of the deletions from the plans that came up during subsequent meetings is going to be removing the slip lanes at the Powder Mill Road intersection on Edmonston. The full turning movement is still allowed at that intersection. It's just that broad slip lane there will be removed for sort of a more conventional intersection design.
That's the north-south and not the east-west.
that would be the, you're asking me to get directions here. It'd be the northbound lanes on Edmonston and then the entering in the southern direction there. And there's
Right.
actually a graphic that'll bring
Okay.
that up too. As far as Powder Mill Road goes, there's new traffic signals will be supplied. There'll be widening for separate left and right-hand turn lanes for the on and off ramps there, as well as improvements to stormwater and tree canopy replacement. So can you go up one slide? Yeah, to there. So this is the scope of the plans in terms of the Edmonston Road corridor. So you can see it's, excuse me. It goes just north of the Powder Mill Road intersection, and then just not quite to Beaver Dam Creek on the south end. And then there's short legs on Powder Mill to accommodate the changes and sort of transition them in. And then the graphic on the right side basically shows you the sheet set. The plan set is hundreds of pages long. So that graphic provides you with sort of an overview of the different sheets in that graphic. If you can just go down to the next slide. And then this is the Powder Mill Road improvements shown in red, where Powder Mill runs under the BW Parkway there. Anything
Doesn't
outside of
extend,
this?
doesn't extend to that facility that's just east of there?
At Springfield Road and the driveway for that, or you?
Yeah.
Do you mean west? You mean east?
East.
It just it reaches over.
Just
to
a soil conservation?
Road at the intersection.
Okay.
If you could keep going down one. So this is the intersection at Powder Mill. The aerial photos, the existing condition. The black and white is the proposed plans. There's a lot going on there, I recognize, but you can see where one thing I did forget to mention was that on Edmonston, that the plans include bike lanes on Edmonston Road through that corridor will be a new addition that's not currently there. And you can see those bike lanes in the dark. That section. And you can see in the aerial photo the existing slip lanes that come onto and off of Powder Mill Road onto Edmonston. Those are the ones that I talked about, though, that will be removed and redesigned. If you could keep going down. Again, this is on the Edmonston corridor. And again, the aerial shows you the existing condition along with the black and white is the proposed design changes. You can see there's additional lanes provided with the bike lanes and maintains the pedestrian crossing there on Sunnyside.
Get a little closer to the mic. There's a.
My mouth is like 2 inches away from it already.
Yeah, they're not able to hear it they're not able to hear it online very well. It was some other people were finding it was maybe working better if you held the mic, but.
Okay. So you can see the difference with the cross section there with the additional through lanes and the widening of the road through that corridor.
That's at Sunnyside.
Sunnyside and Edmonston, yes.
So, and it's just for Edmonston, or is it actually Sunnyside as well? I mean, that county messed that roadway up so badly, and putting the no turn on red sign and just that completely ignoring APB's recommendations about making a bike lane. There's plenty of room to do that. It's a mess. It just bothers me so much.
Everyone's complaining. A lot of complaints online too.
It doesn't include Sunnyside, but if you look at the plans, there's a short section on Sunnyside where they're essentially transitioning, making the roadway grades match. So there's a short leg on Sunnyside just to transition it into the corridor.
Sunnyside's a county road.
Correct.
Edmonston is state highway. Yeah.
If you go down, we'll keep going down. So this is the second location at Powder Mill in the Parkway. And you can see here where they're adding dedicated right-hand turn lanes for the ramps and separating traffic with the island there. You can again in the upper right, you can see what the existing condition is.
Mr. Roberts?
So what are they doing over at Powder Mill and Route 1?
They're not proposing anything. Those are outside of the scope of the plans.
How about between Edmonston and Route 1?
Again,
Part of that, part of that intersection there, that whole intersection there, once you turn left and you're heading out towards Route 1, is wetlands on both sides. And I see flags out in the wetlands, so I assume they're going to cut all that down. They're gonna.
I haven't seen the flags, but as I said at the beginning of the presentation,
There's like
if
little
it's outside
red.
of that-
There's
if it's outside of that line, that red line in the plans and in the presentation, then it's not part of this review, not part of the project.
Where's the red line there going out at the? Can you show a picture? Where's the?
Make that full screen, Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't have, it's Miss Anderson that's sharing.
Okay.
But I think it was one of the earlier ones that showed the
It's the third or fourth slide.
So are they widening the road in between Edmonston in between?
I think that one stopped. Yeah, there, the one down, Miss Anderson.
Go
Go down one. That one is the one that shows the scope.
So if it's outside of that, red, at least in that.
See, but that red line is going clear almost all the way over to the industrial park there, Odell Road. So that's all forested area in there and a wetland area. So they're going to be impacting that dramatically because I see the markers out there and I know it's going to be horrible. I mean, there's not going to be any trees left in there. It's not going to do any good because the bridge going over Route 1 is not going to change, and once you get to Route 1's not going to change, and when you cross Route 1 on Powder Mill Road, that's not going to change because they just redid that and it's 2 lanes. So I don't know where they're getting their traffic in there. Obviously, they're planning on traffic. They claim that it's coming in through Powder Mill Road, but it's going to have to come down Sunnyside Avenue and Kenilworth Avenue. And we know, of course, we know that they want to widen all of Edmonston Road in the near future. So I think this is just a kind of window dressing thing, lulling us to sleep as to what the real impact is going to be. Because when they widen Edmonston completely, that's a huge wetland impact and it shouldn't be allowed to do it. But this is the state of Maryland.
Well,
So-
I guess I would reiterate that I can only review the plans I am provided, so.
Let me ask a question. So just in regard to on that slide, on the right-hand side of the slide is the Agricultural Research Center. And on the left side of Edmonston Road, where the wetlands are, is that state property, state wetlands, or is it private property?
I don't know. I will mention it's a little confusing that the orientation shifts. The left slide, north is up, and on the right, on this graphic, north is to the right.
Got it.
So it's
Okay.
a little confusing.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask another question. So this is going through the National Capital Planning Commission as opposed to Maryland National Capital and Planning, the planning, Prince George's County Planning Board. Why is that?
Because the Bureau of
Bureau?
the Bureau of Engraving
Federal.
and Printing is a federal agency.
Right.
And also because NCPC has authority over those projects.
Okay, okay. And Prince George's County has weighed in with a letter of support?
In your packet includes a a letter from the the park and planning, the planning director. I don't know what the greater Prince George's counties, they haven't provided any feedback. And I assume that Park and Planning is going to provide their own letter as well as part of the hearing in February, but I haven't seen that either.
So I appreciate the letter to be conveyed, but perhaps we should, write our county council representatives. Actually, I believe that's Mr. Dernoga's area. In fact, it is Mr. Maybe we can write him a letter and just share with him our concerns, which he may or may not share. I'd like to do that.
They're at-large council members as well. We could copy them on that.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. As far as
I
the,
can include those CCs in the letter. I think I have one left, and I can just kind of go over them real quickly. Outlined in the draft letter in front of you, there's a few things that we wanted to bring to light, which is the current countywide master plan of transportation recommends bike lanes throughout the Bark and mainly Powder Mill and Odell. And I mention Odell because the BEP takes secondary access on Odell and has frontage on Odell as well as Powder Mill. A standard process in any sort of development project is you perform the frontage improvements that are suggested in a master plan. These plans, that's outside of the scope of the plans provided. Why aren't those improvements that have been adopted by the county being done?
it's a good question, and I guess on the north side of Odell, there's some historic properties over there, a church and some other historical areas that need to be preserved. The terrain is so hilly over there, it's hard. I guess the bike riders go up that hill all the time, but be that as it may, that's a good point you've made.
Well, and this is more a function of this is what the county's adopted master plan wants to see. Why aren't we discussing that?
They doing it, proposing it.
The other thing mentioned is that while we applaud the inclusion of bike lanes on Edmonston, they are, given the speed of that road and the volume of that road, they should really be buffered bike lanes rather than just a standard unbuffered bike lane. The design should match the road and the standards for NACTO and ASHTO for a safe facility. They're not what is currently shown. In addition, or going back to the Powder Mill Road at the BW Parkway, the same instance about master plan conformance is going on there too, where they don't reserve any roadway space for bike lanes in the future. They make no attempt to fit bike lanes into that cross section, but the county's master plan wants them. And so those are really the kind of the main issues. We did discuss and include supporting the extension of bike lanes further down Edmonston from the southern end of this project to Cherrywood Lane to make a connection to the Greenbelt Metro to leverage the existing infrastructure on Cherrywood. But as most of you know, the bridge over Beaver Dam Creek is very narrow, 2 lanes, and there's no room to fit infrastructure on that bridge. And so this really can't be implemented as part of this project at this time, but we did want to say it out loud to say that future planning should look at that and accommodate those not only bikes but also pedestrians across that bridge and through that corridor as time moves along.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The letter looks good. Council may have some additional suggestions on that section by the Parkway and Powder Mill Road. They're proposing an island in the middle. So is that traffic calming? Is that what they're trying to do there?
I believe. Well, it's not an island. It's just striping.
Striping. Okay.
Yeah. But I believe they're just trying to create. It's more of an alignment issue because let me get my directions correct. the west left-hand turn lane, by having that island on the left side of the graphic, it allows the through lane to line up with the other side of the intersection. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah. Okay, okay. So I would like to see, above and beyond the testimony, I think, and seeing our at-large county council and Councilman Dernoga in particular, I think we should send a separate letter or something to him. Particularly, I know he's got a real interest in preserving wetlands and whatnot, and it's his district, so I think we should really appeal to him a bit. Suggestions? Yes, please.
No, I don't have any other suggestions. I just wanted to thank Mr. Sigworth for like this very thorough report and all of the attachments. Like it was very helpful to have all of this information to read prior to coming to this meeting. And I think I just really appreciate you putting it all together and all the work you've done on it. And I think the letter is great. So thanks so much for that.
Okay, we'll take a couple of questions. I don't think we need to vote. I think we're giving direction to Mr. Sigworth and staff. I don't think we need to vote on it necessarily, but we'll take a couple of questions if that's council's will. Ms. Rosenthal and Mr. Orleans, do you have questions or comments?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your presentation. I have two questions that are totally unrelated to one another. I may have kind of missed like the general context of your presentation, but so correct me if I'm wrong, that there's been various environmental impact statements and then the developers come back with a revised plan and blah, 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 and then this is their last revised plan, and you're just presenting to us what BEP is telling you is their final plan. Is that, and then as part of that, so does this fall into this NEPA process or something like, and this is like the final, you like going, this is like your last chance, and yeah.
Yeah. So so this project has been going on for years, and so as any project that spends federal money, they have to go through the NEPA process, environmental impact statements, and those have been approved. The first part was approved a couple years ago, and then the supplemental was a year and a half. My memory's hazy about that, but these are the off-site road improvement part of it, and these are just the 30% design. There will be the design will get refined, but the city won't get referred those plans. The National Capital Planning Commission will review those. They only send us the preliminary sets of plans.
Yes, and I don't know if council knows, there's a couple of listservs in Greenbelt of Save Bark, Save, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing of many citizens who are following this very closely and, sort of hoping to see some improvement. I'm sure Mr. Roberts, is aware of some of that. And I, unfortunately, I wasn't really paying attention. So I didn't post to their listserv, hey guys, you should come to city council and hear the presentation or listen online. I don't know if Vijay Parameshwaran is on or any of his friends. But anyway, yeah, I think this was very helpful. The second question is, and yeah, this is Mr. Dernoga's district, and so maybe he's the only one that knows the answer, but there is a community right north of what you're talking about. It's the
Vanceville
area, which is a historically African-American community that's small and is often overlooked. And they do have a president of the Vanceville, and they do have a recreation center where they could have a presentation. So are you at all aware if you or anyone has made a presentation to the Vanceville community, or whether Mr. Dernoga has contacted you or anyone else to ask you? Because obviously we're a much larger city. We have maybe a larger voice, but they always kind of get left in the dust. Thanks very much. It would have been nice for someone to tell us about all of this. That I mean, you may not know it all, but they are an important community that gets overlooked.
So, just to kind of segue on that, this meeting, the hearing for the National Capital Planning Commission, is there an opportunity if residents and others want to submit comments? Can they send letters or emails?
Yes. So the tentative agenda is supposed to be posted for their next meeting on this Friday, the 17th. And as part of that, you can sign up to testify, and submit comment and through their website. But the agenda hasn't been posted yet, so there's no way to sign up without the item posted. So.
Mr. Samarone, can you
agenda will be posted on the 17th.
ask Ms. Andrews to post something on the website or social media for residents that want to send to testify or to send testimony? Can we post something?
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you. Mr. Orleans. Mr. Orleans?
I do not know why it is, but I believe it's the case. For some reason, our species doesn't like to reflect on our mistakes, past or present. Over the years, Greenbelt Council, by letter, stated its opposition to the widening of Edmondson Road. When Sunnyside was being rebuilt, it was guaranteed by the county that it would remain a two-lane road, notwithstanding the very large bike lanes on a portion of that road. When we informed, among others, the county that we were opposed to the introduction of the U.S. Treasury's Department Bureau of Printing and Engraving to the farms, that's about as much as we did, and we let it go. All this time, over many years, some of us, at least some of us in Greenbelt and some on Greenbelt Council, supported the very people that were pursuing this project. Our former 5th District representative was majority leader of the House when the 18 Farm Bill was signed into law. If Steny Hoyer had wanted to prevent this from occurring, he had the juice to do so. He, for whatever reason I've asked, and I've never gotten an answer, he apparently wanted this project to proceed. Save Bark over the recent years attempted to meet. We did so successfully through the intervention of one of our members of county council with then County Executive Angela Alsobrooks, who had been pushing this project, even at Greenbelt Council, meeting with Greenbelt Council, for all the years she was county executive. Now, of course, she's our United States Senator. Some on Greenbelt Council, as well as some in town, supported her for executive and then supported her and voted for her for U.S. Senator. In the future, when Greenbelt Council adopts a position favoring or opposing something, it should do so more forcefully than simply sending a letter and letting it go at that. We should, those of us who hold elective office at Greenbelt, should more regularly communicate with those of higher authority on questions that we oppose, because otherwise I envision with a Republican project for many, many, many years to close up Bark in its entirety. I envision when it's sold off, the Mid-Atlantic Trump Resort and Casino and Golf Course coming into Bark. And is Greenbelt simply going, council simply going to say?
Thank you, Mr.
by
Orleans.
letter
You're
we
kind of
close
going
that
a little bit off
property?
topic
Or
here.
are we going to communicate with
Appreciate
those
your
people on a higher
thoughts,
authority who represent us?
but please, thank you.
Not off topic.
So, Mr. Do you need any additional guidance? I think the testimony is very important. We're on the record and we've forcefully opposed many of the initiatives that are embodied in this 30% plan. It would be nice to be able to weigh in more so, but clearly it's Mr. Denoda's district and it is not in the city of Greenbelt. So appreciate the letter, appreciate the work, appreciate the fact that it will be you or Miss Ruby or who will be testifying.
That hasn't been determined yet, but I'm guessing since I'm most familiar with the project, it'll probably be me.
Okay. So let's wrap up. Mr. Hartman, please. I don't think we need to vote to transmit the letter, but we can if you want.
We have to vote to send a letter.
Yeah, we usually have.
Okey doke.
Michael Hartman, 2 Court Garden Way. A lot of these road improvements, the off-site, aren't they just so that they can bring their big trucks down that road and up Edmonston and perhaps even allow trucks on the BW Parkway? And I've been following this tangentially, but it seems to me that all these want to do is just make it easy for the big trucks that deliver materials and take out whatever they take out. Is that a correct assumption that that's why they're doing the roads and stuff? Mr. Roberts, yes. Okay. Do you foresee them getting the allowing trucks onto the BW Parkway? Is that part of that plan?
I don't think that would do them a lot of good because the parkway is a parking lot most of the time. I think that the main mode of egress is going to be Sunnyside Avenue and Kenilworth. I call Kenilworth Avenue. It's Edmonston Road.
To the Beltway.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, they're not, because even if they allowed trucks on the parkway, it's a parking lot most of the time. So
well, that's true.
That's not going to do them any good.
I guess some people might argue that eventually it's like an extension of the ICC down to Route 50. That's what some people
Maybe
might
actually claims that they're going to bring their people in through Powder Mill Road and Route 1, which makes no sense at all.
Okay, thank you.
Project doesn't make any sense either. So.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote to convey the letter.
I don't think we actually have a motion on the table.
Make a motion that we convey a letter to the National Capital Planning Commission, stating our objections to the project and pointing out several scenarios, improvements that could be made.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. I did want to mention that there's a quick turnaround on this letter, so Mr. Mayor, you will see this in your inbox tomorrow.
Thank you very much. And next up, let's special order the next item, 16. Where I'm skipping over the ethics part because we've got staff here, and I don't think we need staff for the ethics.
It's just a first reading, so we could do it in about 2 minutes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I move for first reading an ordinance to repeal and replace an ordinance of the Council of the City of Greenbelt to repeal and reenact Chapter 2, Article 4, Ethics Provisions of the City Code. It doesn't need a second.
I think it does need to, the information, the ordinance is going to be posted on the website, so it's quite extensive. And anyone that is interested in commenting, I would suggest that they go to the website and review the ordinance so that we can expedite the discussion as opposed to going back and forth with questions during second reading. Of course, we will discuss it then. And if there are substantial changes, we might have to go back to a first reading. Just in looking through it, I had a couple of comments where something says may, and I think it should say shall. And I suppose I'll introduce that at second reading. That's actually Section 2-109, Section M. I think where it says may, it should be changed to shall. And I have an amendment that I'd like to put in as well. So at this time, let's move on to item number 16, which is approval of the proposed trail reroutes and closures in the Forest Preserve. Kevin Carpenter Driscoll is with us tonight. The Forest Preserve Advisory Board submitted its report 2024-01 to Council on September 27, 2024, and seeks Council approval to carry out the proposed trail reroutes and closures as some of the closures will be over 100 feet. These changes seek to move the trail away from the potentially dangerous locations, reduce unnecessary trails, and are in accordance with the Forest Preserve Master Trails Plan. As far as the details, per the Forest Preserve Advisory Report 2024-01, do we have a diagram? Kevin, welcome. It's so nice that you have joined us and you're sticking around to kind of present this information. I know there's a couple of graphics. Can we put the graphic up on the screen so people can kind of see what we're talking about? There are 2 points. One has to do with the lower section of Canyon Creek Trail, and the second has to do with the entrance from Northwoods from Northway Road.
I think the diagram is actually in the second one, Ms. Anderson, the FPAB report.
Yes, it's in the second one.
It's just scroll down. It's the last page, I think.
So can you describe the report, the recommendations from the Forest Preserve Advisory Board?
Thank you, Mayor. So there are multiple portions that go along the Canyon Creek Trail that are getting heavily eroded by the stream that runs along there. So the proposal is to move that portion of the trail around that, let the forest reclaim that to help stabilize the embankment on that side of the stream, and allow any more meandering access points to the stream, and alleviate a lot of the concern that we have that that's becoming a dangerous situation where walkers could end up stepping on heavily undercut stream bank. The other portion down here is the Northwest Eagle Bridge Trail, unofficially named. That is a highly underused portion. It's a redundant trail. There is a large tree that's down that makes it very difficult to use. So the proposal is just to close it, let nature reclaim it, as it's not very used as it is right now.
Well, thank you. When you say close the trail, do you mean put up some yellow caution tape across, or fell a couple of trees, or fill in the greenbrier, or how do you go about closing these
We will
informal?
put up some temporary signage that says that this is being reforested. We will take volunteers to go out and basically run brush over, take the different sticks and things like that over top of the trail to help make it disappear and expedite that process. I've been in contact with an Eagle Scout who is interested in performing a activity like this for his Eagle Scout project, so he's very excited. So if we get approval for this, we'll move forward with that young man as well.
Yeah, that sounds like a great way to go. Councilmember Niesel, you're back there in the Forest Preserve pretty often. So what do you think about closing these trails off?
Well, since I have the floor, I do have to say that my son is very against the closure of the steep, scary trail. He really, really likes the challenge over there. He says it's exciting that he could fall into the riverbank. I just want that on the record. No, but I really do thank the Forest Preserve Advisory Board. I know that they've been working on these trail reroutes for a long time, and then now you've been waiting for quite a while for our approval. So thank you for your work, and of course I approve of what you have put.
Well, since you approve, did you want to make a motion?
That we approve the reroutes as stated in the Friday, September 27th. memo
Okay.
to council.
Anybody got a second? Ms. Pope has seconded. Discussion, Mr. Roberts.
So, you're saying you're gonna reroute it. So, what are you gonna do? You're gonna run a new path up through the shrubs and the bushes and stuff, or
We're going
what are you
to
gonna
choose
do?
a more sustainable path around that's going to go along the natural contour. That allows, when I say sustainable, that means something.
So you're gonna go in and cut down stuff?
No,
and,
no.
Yeah.
No, we're going to.
You're gonna have
use
to.
our trail as to move naturally through the woods with as little impact as possible. We don't anticipate having to cut down anything.
But the problem is in that area, and I know that area well. I've been playing there, going there all my life. Probably before Miss Niesel was born, way before then. And there's a whole lot of tall bush blueberries and stuff like that in there. And you go putting in essence, you're going to be causing more damage to the environment than just leaving it alone. And I agree with her son. People go in the woods because they want to be in the woods. This is a forest preserve. It's not a place where you go and say, oh, I don't want mud on my feet. I don't want to, oh, I might fall down the hill or something like that. No, you go in the woods on the woods terms, not on our terms. And this, you're trying to make it on our term. You're turning it into a park, or someone is, whoever, the Forest Preserve Committee and everybody. It's being turned into a park, not a forest preserve. That's my problem. I fought long and hard to get this place away from the developer so we could have a natural area in the city. And going in and doing what what is proposed to do is not in that vein. That's why I just can't vote for this, because, as I say, I think you're doing more damage. And over time, as people come and go, people are going to walk where they want to walk in the forest preserve. I hate to say it. I don't like it, sometimes. And back when, they had a lot of mountain bikes that wanted to come into the forest preserve, they were going back just making paths anywhere they wanted to, because, that's what they wanted to do. Fortunately, we got past that and we're able to essentially ban the bikes from the mountain bikes from the forest preserve, but we need to let it be a forest preserve. It's not a place that's supposed to be, just groomed. It's not a place we want to groom. It's a place you want to go and enjoy nature. And what's
Council-
there is what's there, and you ought to leave it alone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember McKinney, you had a comment?
I just actually have a question. Maybe a point of clarification. The Forest Preserve Advisory Board has submitted recommendations for this that you're recommending to us today. So they actually have reviewed this. And this is their plan, right? So the Forest Preserve Advisory Board, their main goal is to ensure that we are protecting the forest preserve.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
So, and in that discussion, when they were dealing with Mr. Roberts, please, I have the floor. So during the discussion, when the Forest Preserve Advisory Board was talking about this, were there some points of contention, or was it more or less unanimous that this is what they wanted to put forward?
Yeah, this was unanimous through the board. They wanted to put this plan forward because it was of great concern, especially when safety is involved. I believe Brian Buns might be.
Yeah, he's online.
If he has anything to add, he's welcome to as well.
Please, let's promote him and allow him to speak. Hey, good evening. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the chance to speak. I'm Brian Bruns. I'm the co-chair of the Forest Preserve Advisory Board. And just to confirm what Kevin said, this is something we all agreed on, and like to make clear, these recommendations are very much in line with the Master Trails Plan and the Stewardship Guidelines for the Forest Preserve. And those are both documents we spent years working on and discussing in depth, and how to balance the different needs and priorities to try and take care of the forest preserve in a good way. And that includes trying to be conscious of some areas that we think are sufficiently dangerous that it's more advisable to move the trail away from the stream bank rather than leaving something that could be hazardous. And especially, as Kevin was mentioning, if that hazard is not obvious, if the bank gets undercut. And also in terms of trying to preserve, is to say, okay, a lot of these trails evolved as people chose to walk in different areas, and sometimes that ends up with things that make plenty of sense. Other times there are things that are, redundant, unnecessary, and confusing. And so in the case of the trail closure, you've got two short trails that basically take you across to that same trail, paralleling the stream. And another advantage of closing this section of trail is that if you've walked around there, there's a chance you can really get turned around and start going around in circles the way it is now. And if we close this trail, it will be clearer both walking out there and easier to remember in terms of keeping track on where you are. And closing the trail obviously contributes to allowing more of the forest preserve to be preserved in a natural state. And the Master Trails Plan, again, has a good deal of discussion and guidance in terms of trying to minimize interventions and to say that for anything over 100 feet would come to City Council. And in the case of what we're talking about, there actually could have been ways to do a change shorter than 100 feet, but that would be more disruptive. And we felt, looking at what was on the site, it would actually be better overall to have a slightly longer route, which makes it easier to route around and minimize any disruption to larger trees and so on. So we appreciate your attention to this and happy to respond to any further questions. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Bruins. I appreciate your insight and the careful consideration that you and the members of the Forest Preserve Advisory Board put into this forward. I appreciate Kevin Carpenter Driscoll as the liaison for presenting your recommendations to council for approval. And if there's no further discussion, there's been a motion that's on the floor. Mayor Pro Tem?
We have one more resident comment online, Jay Davis.
Jay Davis, are you there?
Yes, I am. Jay
Thank you.
Davis, Greenbelt East. While I was on council, I also was the council liaison to the Forest Preserve Advisory Board, and they've been discussing some of these issues for years. There's actually two issues, and it counters perhaps what Mr. Roberts was saying. The Forest Preserve, as much as we would like to let it be, is city property. So if we know of a danger and a dangerous situation, and we're well aware that it's a danger, and someone, for whatever reason, follows that trail, falls down and hurts themselves badly, we would then be legally responsible and they could sue us no matter what. And that's because we are aware of the danger. And right now we are aware of that danger and it has to be taken care of. In the process of closing down a redundant trail, in a way, you're actually allowing the forest preserve to heal itself. If we don't need the trail, if it's redundant, then let it grow back into what it should be. And in a way, you're increasing the tree canopy and the lower canopy as well. So I believe that just letting things go the way that nature or man wants to do it is not what I think Mr. Roberts really means and what really wants to happen. If we just let everything happen the kind of willy-nilly, it's going to hurt the forest preserve in the long run and will also cause some legal issues with the city. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I see Mr. Corbel is here from the advisory committee on. Did we appoint him yet?
It was on the consent agenda.
Oh, he's
today.
appointed now. Well, do you have any thoughts about this, or would you like to make a comment? You're here. If so, go to the microphone, and if not, that's fine.
I have a.
Okay.
I have a.
I have yet to meet.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, as we wrap up, Mr. Roberts, please.
Well,
Got a couple of minutes.
I want to go back to what Ms. Davis said because the information that we got, I believe it was from Mr. Manzi at the time, was that on the legal side, that if we have a forest preserve that's a wildland and we don't do anything to it, then we're good because people know that it's not maintained. As long as people know it's not maintained and they're going on their own risk, we can't be sued. But if we go out there and we do certain stuff and then we claim it's safe, and that's what we're doing now, you're claiming you're making it safe, and then someone goes back there and gets hurt, now they can sue us. So it goes actually the opposite of what Miss Davis is saying, because as soon as we start maintaining that area, then we have legal liability. When we're not maintaining it and it's just a natural area, we don't have that liability. And we got that from
Okay,
Mr.
thank-
Manzi. who
thank you-
was
thank
an
you, Mr.
excellent-
Roberts.
Mr. Manzi
Thank
was
you,
an
Mr.
excellent
Roberts.
attorney.
Thank you,
and he
Mr.
gave us
Roberts.
a lot of good
Mayor Pro Tem, please.
Well, I was just going to say, I think we're getting on a sidetrack. I think we've had a number of comments. I'd be ready to vote.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, the ayes have it. Kevin Carpenter Driscoll, thank you for presenting this information to council. Mr. Bruns, thank you for all of your good work. And that's going to take us to the end of the agenda. I think that's going to take us to council activities. I've not had an opportunity to log in my activities, but Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to summarize or speak on any? I mean, so much has happened between the last council meeting. When did last meeting was last year?
It was last year, yeah.
Man,
So
this is
December
like
9th.
years
So
ago. Man.
here's the list of things. I think many of us were at the fire department and police department versus the kids baseball game. It was very entertaining to watch. I don't know if anyone else wants to highlight other things on this one.
Where did you start? What date did you start?
So I started the last council meeting. So it's December 9th was the last council meeting. So this is everything since December 10th and onward.
There. Hey, one thing, Councilmember Pompey and I were able to attend a ribbon cutting for the 15th anniversary of the Laugh Out Loud Entertainment Center over at Beltway Plaza. You know, it's really quite impressive. It's a large space.
Yeah, we got a chance to be among the first people to play on their new virtual reality gaming system. And I dominated, just so you all know.
I think there may have
I
been some sort of a
completely-
technical error because I think
completely
I actually
destroyed the mayor and everybody else.
I think well.
Just so you know, for the record. But it was really fun, though. I mean, I was like, "What is this virtual?" But it was fun, though, wasn't it?
It was fun.
Yeah.
But the part about you destroying, but more importantly, they also shared the progress they're making towards the daycare facility there, and they are just waiting for some permits in order to move ahead with that. So it was very, very interesting. Good to see. I hadn't spent that much time over there in quite some time.
A roller skating rink in there. I mean, I was really impressed by all the stuff they have.
I've never been. I really would like to go. I'm sorry, I wasn't here.
There.
I have to take a look. Yeah.
They have the capacity for 3 or 4 parties of, children's parties, 20 kids.
And field trips,
quite
and I
large.
know I talked to her before, so we'll stay in touch. Yeah, but I really would like to take a peek.
Okay. Anybody else for the good of the order? Okay, well, I think that just about wraps things up. Let's go ahead and close the meeting. Please have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.